Good morning and welcome to Sydney Parade, home of Pembroke Cricket Club, for this, the first game of the IP20 festival. Should be a fascinating 3 days of cricket here at Pembroke, starting off with game one between the home side, the Leinster Lightning, and the Munster Reds. Weather set fair, beautiful conditions here in Pembroke. And just a few minutes ago we had John Kenny out with the two captains and the match referee at the toss. Let's go see what happened.
Well, what a glorious morning it is here for the start of this T20 festival. They've got two games today. The first up is the Leinster Lightning against the Munster Reds, and I got our two captains with us, George Dockrell and Tyrone Kane, and Kevin Gallagher has the coin. Leinster are at home. Tyrone, you're going to call.
Tails.
Tails is the call.
It's a head.
It's a head. George.
I will have the ball, please.
Okay, if you'd like to stand in front of the microphone there, just tell us you're going to have a bowl. Why is that?
I think obviously it's a fresh wicket and there's a good bit of grass on it. I think might give it a little bit of assistance this morning, and it's a relatively small ground. I think quite a good place to chase, and so for us I think it'll be a good option.
Okay, you've got 12 in your squad. Somebody has to lose out. Who's that?
Yeah, Rory Anders misses out unfortunately, and yeah, good luck to all the guys who are playing.
Okay, thanks very much, Tyrone. If you'd like to step in, if you'd won the toss, Tyrone, what would you have done?
Happy enough to do either, to be honest. Probably a good toss to lose. Happy enough to get first use of it and set our sights out for the weekend, start well and go on from there.
Yeah, looking forward to this. It's obviously a hectic couple of days, isn't it?
Yeah, really looking forward. In past years it's been a great couple of weekends when we get going, all the teams in the one spot, and it's great to watch and great to play.
Sure. How's your squad? What's any changes?
Mitchell and Theo missed out today.
Okay, well thanks for joining us. Enjoy the game.
Thank you.
That's Tyrone Kane there. So Leinster have won the toss and they're going to have a bowl.
Yes, and that's the news from the toss. The George Dockrell and the Leinster Lightning have won the toss this morning and elected to bowl first against the Munster Reds. As I say, beautiful morning to start off this fascinating IP20 festival between all four sides. Later on today we'll see the Northern Knights play against the Northwest Warriors in a Northern Derby. We're looking forward to bringing you every single ball throughout the 3 days. Andrew Blair-White here in the commentary position and joined by Andrew Leonard to my left.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew. Beautiful morning. What a week of cricket we got ahead. What a couple of weeks of cricket we have ahead. 2 IP festivals in back-to-back weekends. The first one here in Dublin. We're in South Dublin at Pembroke Cricket Club. Ground really looking resplendent today, and probably the most pleasing thing for me coming down the wall this morning, fans back in the ground.
Yeah, superb to get people back in. 100 people allowed for all 3 days. All 3 days sold out in very quick time as well on the Cricket Leinster website, and no better place for people to be watching cricket than the wall down here in Pembroke. And starting off with this Leinster Lightning Munster Reds game, I think it'd be fair to say throughout the entirety of this weekend that all these games are vastly competitive between four very well matched sides, and certainly the Munster Reds, they haven't been able to get over the line in an IP50 game so far this year, but have shown distinct promise. I suppose, Andrew, what are you expecting from this first game?
Yeah, not just this first game, but the whole festivals. Back-to-back festivals. We move into T20 mode, the second of the two white ball formats, and for Ireland with their troubles in the 50-over game, perhaps this is where the immediate future lays, certainly on the world stage. We've got a T20 World Cup later in the year. Most likely that will be played in the UAE, and we've got 48 players here over the course of these 2 weeks, maybe 49 with Paul Sterling coming back in next week. After he finishes his stint with Middlesex, he'll be duking it out in terms of trying to stick their hands up for the selectors. And what I'm looking forward to seeing is some power hitting, some inventive cricket, some good bowling, and plenty of action. And that's the great thing about these T20 festivals. They're rapid, they're short, they're sharp. We have 2 games a day every day, 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. each day. Starting out here in Pembroke Cricket Club in Dublin before we move up to the beautiful northwest, up to Bredy. And let's hope for some good weather up in Bredy. They've had a a few unlucky occasions, particularly one IP festival entirely washed out up there. So let's hope that a little bit like we have here, let's hope the sun shines. Umpires are on their way, Andrew. It's going to be Paul Reynolds and Mark Hawthorne, probably two of Ireland's very best. Leinster Lightning winning the toss and deciding to have a bowl first. We're right out as far as you can go on the Pembroke Square here, which means that we've got a really big oval in play. No short boundaries like you sometimes see here at Pembroke across to the wall side. As you look at it on your screen, you've got the railway tracks across to your right. Massive boundaries out towards the team tents there today.
Yeah, it is. And I'll encourage fielding side. Sometimes T20 cricket can be very batting orientated, but should be fantastic. The ground looking in splendid nick as per usual, with Dale McDonough and his team providing us with brilliant facilities. Looks a fantastic carpet-like outfield, so I'm sure runs will be able to come by. And it's going to be PJ Moore and Jack Carty to open the batting for the Munster Reds. PJ Moore, former Zimbabwean international cricketer, has come over to Ireland to try and play international cricket for Ireland, and when he gets going, PJ, he can be a highly destructive and very entertaining player to watch.
Yeah, I think he'll relish the change of formats as well. We've seen him at the top of the order in the IP20 really try to dash right from the off. It hasn't quite worked for him. The interesting move up the order for a man who made, 13 off 50 odd deliveries down in the Murdoch a few days ago. Different conditions, of course, but they've decided to go with the left-hand, right-hand combination up top. So Jack Carty will be at the non-strikers end, but PJ Moore will go at things right from the off here. Josh Little to open the bowling. The IP Festival, here we go. A bit of talk over the week with the Warriors so impressive on the Tuesday. Perhaps the Lightning not necessarily favourites going into today, and not just today but the whole week.
Yeah, potentially so. I think that Northwest Warriors side looks, certainly from the outside looking in, like it has a team that could really specialise in T20 cricket. A lot of very hard-hitting batters, a few fast bowlers, good spinners. But this Lightning team is, as always, so reliable. And Josh Little, it's been a coming-of-age season for him so far.
Driven into the offside, straight to George Dockrell. Just half a fumble in a misfield. Ends up allowing the first runs of the day, the first runs of the T20 Festival. We've got an exciting couple of weeks of cricket ahead. This Friday, Saturday, Sunday here in Dublin. Next Friday, Saturday, Sunday up in Derry. So that's going to be 12 games across the course of just 9 days. Exactly what not just the fans want. Hopefully the weather's good, but also, I guess, the mindset shift that we need in Irish cricket now. We need some positivity into the game. Really disappointing tour of the Netherlands. Let's start seeing some big hitting, some fast bowling, some good spinners. And let's see things turning around ahead of a really big home summer. South Africa and Zimbabwe to come. It's a beauty. No foot movement at all from Carty. And just beats him through to the keeper, Tucker.
Yeah, good bowling from Josh Little. Good start from him, and he's bowled so well. He bowled so well over in Utrecht for the Irish team, profiting against left-handers at times. Interesting, as you said, Andrew, the Jack Carty up the order in this format. Sometimes T20 cricket allows you to just free the arms, and even if you're not in maybe the greatest of form, and get a few boundaries away and get into your work early on, and I'm sure that's what he'll be looking to do.
Another swing and a miss. Josh Little proving a little bit too fiery and too hot to handle for Carty to start with. 2 plays and misses outside the off stump. Little, we saw the speed guns there in Utrecht for those Cricket World Cup Super League qualifiers there in the Netherlands, getting it right up towards 88, 89 miles an hour even.
Yeah, serious pace, and he certainly had the number of Ben Cooper. He bowled him a few sniffers throughout the week.
Back to back to back. 3 deliveries outside the off stump, 3 plays and misses from Carty. He just can't lay bat on Josh Little at the moment, and you can see PJ Moore trying to use his experience coming down, saying you've got to get into line here. Maybe just a little bit sharper than Carty might have been used to.
Yeah, be a little bit disappointed though 3 in a row there with a bit of width on offer. Usually we see in this format width can go and can go very fast. Carty just failing to get in line just yet.
That one flays off the outside edge, and look at the speed of the outfield. We could be in for a run fest here in Pembroke over the course of the next 3 days. That wasn't far to the right of the third man fielder, but it zips away across the outfield with the additional pace of Little. That's the first boundary of the first festival, the first boundary of the weekend.
And that just goes to show a little bit of width on offer, and that thick edge from Carty down towards third man. I think it was only 5 yards to Barry McCarthy's right. He had no chance, absolutely no chance of stopping it. Ends the first over, 5 without loss, and you'd like to hope, certainly, Andrew, that we'll see an awful lot of runs during this weekend.
Yeah, let's hope. And I've no doubt that Dale McDonough, Kincaid and the GM by Choice groundsman team here have been trying to create a flat one. They did an exceptional job throughout May to create playable wickets given just how poor the weather was. But with the summer finally finding its form coming into June, deck does look a flat one. It'll be the same wicket for all 3 matches, of course, so it'll have a lot of cricket to be played on. 240 overs of cricket potentially over the course of the 3 days. Weather set fair certainly for today and tomorrow. Might have a few showers Saturday night, hopefully won't affect Sunday. Barry McCarthy to open up with his Pembroke and Leinster teammate, and that one just skews off the inside edge again. Another demonstration of how fast this outfield is. That was not where PJ Moore was looking to hit the ball whatsoever. Squirts off the inside edge. The second boundary. It's back-to-back boundaries. The Munster Reds are up and running.
Yeah, certainly not where PJ Moore intended, off a very thick inside edge, but David O'Halloran's on square there at deep square, and it's gone well backward, and it's scooted away for 4 there.
Yeah, that's possibly the only slightly shorter boundary in the entire ground. That's right in front of the pavilion here at Pembroke. Kind of cuts in a little. That's really good for McCarthy. Back of a length right into the V of PJ Moore's bat.
Yeah, it's interesting. George Dockrell winning the toss and electing to bowl first this morning, I would say, on a fact-finding mission more than anything else, I suspect. Probably unsure about what a par score might be. You don't really know at a ground like Pembroke. Score in and around the 160, 170 mark may deem to be par.
That one's hit into the leg side, and that's why O'Halloran is on square. Just going to be the single this time. Yeah, and perhaps just the thought as well from Dockrell that any assistance the bowler's going to get will be early. 11 a.m. local time starts. As the afternoon kicks in, it should just get flatter and truer as we go.
You'd think so, and with it being a fresh pitch, there might just be a little bit in there early on, but as you say, Andrew, looks a very flat pitch on the outset, and I would say the Leinster Lightning will be backing themselves to be chasing runs throughout this weekend.
Good from McCarthy, watchful from Carty. Don't see too many leaves in the T20 format. He really struggled with the bat in the Mardyke. You could make an argument he did a good job for his team, helped to rebuild the innings with Murray Cummins, but certainly a strike rate in the 20s wasn't necessarily something he'd be too accustomed to seeing at this level.
No, definitely not, but he did go in at a difficult point in time, and as you say, he did fill a job to a certain extent. He'll be disappointed with the way he got out more than anything. It's a bit of a soft as missile caught at deep square.
And again, this one pierces the infield, and as soon as it pierces the infield, I think we're going to be seeing this an awful lot over the coming days. Dale McDonough Kincaid, the groundsman, has got the tightest cut you could imagine out on this outfield. It zips away again. Not great authority in the stroke, but it beats the dive of Tim Tector at backward point, 4 more to the total.
Yeah, and that will give Carty a little bit of confidence. Getting another boundary away, suddenly on to 8. And this is the thing about T20 cricket, especially on a ground such as this. Just takes a couple of boundaries to be flayed away. Suddenly you're into double figures, feeling a little bit better about yourself.
Worked into the leg side this time, protection out there in the deep. That's JJ Garth into the team today for the T20 format. We'll see his leg breaks. One of several Pembroke players in this squad on their home ground. Barry McCarthy, Josh Little, JJ Garth, Andy Balbirnie, of course, the Irish captain, growing up just about a dozen doors from the entrance. You wouldn't want a more perfect back garden to learn your trade.
Certainly not. And it's very interesting to see JJ Garth brought into this format. We've seen, and overall in world cricket over the last number of years, how important leg break bowling has become in especially this format of the game. Be interesting to see those young leg spinners on show.
Behind square in the offside to start the third over. Plenty of time for Carty to get back for 2. Yeah, you can see the Reds, obviously they've played in this T20 format a lot longer. You'd imagine their batting will be strong enough in this format. Will their bowling again be their weak link?
Well, you'd think so, given in the IP20 series games so far this year, their batting has really shown up to be very good at this level. The bowling and more so probably the fielding has been a little bit below the standard. They'd have been very disappointed with how they fielded down in the Mardyke, but that's not the first time they've let a few chances slip, and especially in this shortest format. You'd know, given how much 2020 cricket you've watched all over the world, Andrew, how important fielding and how important a key catch or a run out can do to these games in terms of shifting momentum.
Again, that slightly wider one, not quite a drag down from little Carty, just struggling to pick it up and get any bat in it. Yeah, this IPT20 started all the way back in 2013, but Munster were added as the 4th team in 2017, so they've had 4 additions so far. Last year was the first year they didn't finish bottom of the table, but certainly it's a much stronger Munster Red side this season. The additions of several players coming down from the Leinster Lightning in particular. Tyrone Kane's form with the bat is something that will really please Ted Williamson, the head coach.
Yeah, of course it will, and you could argue as well that this format will suit Tyrone's batting the most. He's a very destructive, hard-hitting batter, and hopefully we'll see that. We obviously saw the pyrotechnics of Fionn Hand down in the Mardyke on Tuesday in the 50-over format. You'd like to think that he'd be suited by the T20 format as well, so they've plenty of excitement to come. Seamus Lynch, even the young Terranure man, he certainly can hit a big ball as well. So, you know, they've got an awful lot of strength and depth in the batting. Probably the bowling and the fielding is where they're going to have to improve.
Josh Little quickly through, but can't prevent PJ Moore getting through for a quick single. Yeah, solid start this from the Reds. Lightning have been dominant across the interprovincials in general, but not quite as dominant in the T20 format. Again, the shortest version of the game often can throw up some surprise results. The Northwest Warriors winning the competition in 2014, the Northern Knights taking it in 2019. It would be fair to say this should be the most competitive year of the T20 version yet.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. 4 very well matched sides with plenty of good cricketers on show, and that's what's so brilliant about this for Irish cricket.
It's good from Carty, just down deep in his crease and getting into the leg side to Kevin O'Brien, who mops up, get through for a single. The power play part of the T20 matches, an absolutely critical one as we get to the end of the third over, 20 for none. PJ Moore perhaps not quite going as hard as we would have expected.
No, perhaps not. This 6-over period with just the 2 men outside the 30-yard circle can often be imperative. If you get off to that strong start, it can just put your side in such a good place. But it's interesting to see that, and I'm sure something that we're going to see throughout the entire weekend, captains changing their bowlers left, right and centre. We're already going to see a change from the St John's end. Dave O'Halloran's going to come into the attack. I've been very impressed with Dave O'Halloran in the 50-over format. It will be interesting to see how he adapts to the 20 overs, but he's been very good in the IP50 so far this season.
Yeah, I'll just run you through that Leinster Lightning playing 11. George Dockrell, the captain, of course, in something approaching batting order. Let's run through the rest of it. Be Kevin O'Brien and Andy Balbirnie, you'd have to think, to open up. Might see Jamie Grassi floating up there as well. Lorcan Tucker, Tim Tector, Simi Singh, and then the 4 bowlers: Barry McCarthy, David O'Halloran, Josh Little and JJ Garth. Watch JJ Garth with the bat as well, as batting really coming on and certainly capable of hitting a big ball, the young man. You'll see his leg breaks later on, quite flat, quite skiddy, not a huge turner of the ball. Halloran's going to come around the wicket. Really good work from George Dockrell. Dives across to his right and picks it up just before that artificial mat. Can often be difficult with the artificial wickets, but that's a good piece of fielding, probably at least a couple of runs saved.
Yeah, a very good piece of fielding from George Dockrell. Yeah, interesting about this Leinster Lightning order, I thought there may be even scope that Simi Singh might be up the order. He does so for his club.
Square drive this time, straight to that man Balbirnie, Irish captain. Yeah, so really the only one we're missing in action from those who may go to represent Ireland at that T20 World Cup later in the year is Paul Sterling. Paul Sterling across on a short-term gig with Middlesex. Lit things up back at Lords for the first time against Surrey in the opening match. We'll see him at the T20 Festival in Breedy. Curtis Camphor and Gareth Delaney obviously missing injured for the Reds as well, but outside of that we essentially have a full deck of cards.
Yeah, exactly, but those two injuries for the Reds has impacted their season, because they would have been two of their stronger bowlers and batters, two of Ireland's brightest young all-rounders, Curtis Camphor and Gareth Delaney. So it is a shame. We wish them both well with their respective comebacks. I know Curtis is certainly well and truly on the road to recovery, which is brilliant.
Good early call from Cardi, gets him through for the single. Lightning will be happy with the lack of boundaries. Interesting to see McCarthy use for just the solitary over up the top, and Halloran has started well in his first ever T20 appearance for the Lightning. Like you said, he's had a really good impact in his first season. Big tall Malahide Cricket Club bowler, one to watch for the future.
Yeah, definitely so, and I know he's been working very hard on the T20 format as well, trying to nail Yorkers. And I'm sure he's somebody that we may well see at the death as well as in these power play. And when you have bowlers that can efficiently bowl in the first six and at the death, it's absolutely gold dust for a captain. Halloran here, he's just gone for the one single and be looking to get out of his over here in the power play without a boundary.
Yeah, the one other noticeable absentee, apologies for my forgetfulness, Peter Chase, of course, struggling with an Achilles and heel issue just as the side screen gets moved. So the Malahide teammate of O'Halloran, Peter Chase, missing out. Jack Tector, of course, left out as well. Probably more suited to the longer formats, Jack. Good from O'Halloran. Direct hit could be close. Good work, good pick-up. Clean pick-up from Tim Tector at backward point. That's going to close out the fourth over. The Reds 22 for none.
Yeah, an excellent over from Dave O'Halloran. Good run this from PJ Moore. But again, we're going to see Dockrell ringing the changes, and we're going to see the first bit of spin into the attack this morning. Simi Singh has really developed himself into being one of Ireland's premier spinners over the last number of years. As I say, wouldn't surprise me at all if we saw him up the order with the bat. Usually opens in this format for his club YMCA, but he's probably more known certainly on the international scene for his bowling exploits. Bowls off breaks. He's been trying to develop a few leg breaks into his armoury as well.
Yeah, we've seen that more and more in the last couple of seasons from Simi Singh. We saw one rather extravagantly bowl left-hander earlier in the season. It was up in North Down. So we will see him mix it up, bowling his off breaks and his leg breaks. Couple of leg breaks in the warm-up there to Kevin O'Brien at mid-off. Starts with an off spinner. Good and flat. O'Brien right in the edge of the circle, so easy for Moore to get through for the single. See that a lot from Simi Singh in the T20 format. Darts the ball in, doesn't give the batter any air to work with, and of course bowling the power play an even more difficult task.
Yeah, exactly. He's a fantastic judge of his own pace. He's got an action that means he's constantly watching you actually as a batter, so you can't really premeditate against him. And then obviously having those leg breaks in the arsenal, he doesn't use them too much, but even the fact that he does have them can just sow a few seeds of doubt into batters' minds.
Talking with Brian O'Rourke, the Leinster Lightning assistant coach, this morning just on the way up, and he was telling me that the Leinster boys hitting the ball particularly well in training. They've fully switched into T20 mode, a lot of range hitting in their training building up. He's prone to an occasional exaggeration, our Breener, but he told me saw one of the biggest hits he's ever seen. There's a retaining telephone mast here at Pembroke. We'll see if you might be able to pick it up just out of your shot. He said Jamie Grassi hit one that struck that almost right at the top, 3/4 of the way up that mast, and it was going on the up. Probably a 90 or 100 metre hit, I suspect. Flatter, more of a round arm from Singh, just skidding on. Mark Hawthorne immediately signals wide.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll see some of those big hits throughout the weekend. Saw some massive hits up in the Mardyke.
We did see some really big hitting in the Mardyke, but it mainly came from the middle order and the later middle order. The combination of Kane, Ford and Hand were the ones providing the power hitting. It's been interesting for me, no real signs of aggression so far this morning from Munster. Even the couple of boundaries that they've hit come from reasonably placid strokes. That's beautifully bowled. He's done PJ Moore, all ends up. The end result's going to be 4 runs to the total. PJ Moore's feet went nowhere. Looked for the hit into the leg side. It's come off the outside edge. Might have gone to a very wide first slip. Dunham all ends up, but he gets punished with a boundary 4.
Yeah, it's excellent bowling from Singh there. PJ Moore just trying to flay that away into the leg side. Safe feet movement lacking. But it's a cruel game on bowlers at times.
Beats him again. PJ Moore very lucky to survive, so nearly going through the gap between bat and pad and hitting off stump. One of the 12th men going past us here, Rory Anders. He's in his 12th man. Theo Dempsey will be operating the task. Rory looking resplendent with the long hair and the hairband. Following the path. Josh Little's going to have work to do. Long off. He's not going to cut it off. Another demonstration of just how quick the outfield is. Simi Singh is not happy with Josh Little at all. Giving him the full double teapot. You're getting the end of it there on your screen. This was only a punch down the ground. How's this gone for Andrew?
Yeah, excellent timing from PJ Moore. Josh Little sprawling on the long arm boundary there, but it's another boundary and just keeps things ticking over for the Munster Reds here. As you say, they haven't been maybe overly aggressive, but they'll be happy enough. 33 without loss after just the 5. And they've got so much power hitting to come that wickets in hand could well be crucial. But it wouldn't surprise me to see these two maybe try and up it through the gears in the next few overs.
Yeah, perhaps part of a plan from Ted Williamson, the head coach, maybe just trying to keep wickets in hand, keep those power hitters back. He'll know the conditions well here, not just as a head coach. He's played a couple of seasons at Pembroke, a big Munster man who represented Ireland, the head coach of the Reds. And the first signs of aggression, taking the aerial route for the first time really today, goes over the head of Garassi, who does really well. Down at long off. And the Lightning hunting in packs out in the deep. In fact, is that Barry McCarthy out at long off, getting confused between the two long hairstyles? Hard to tell from here.
I think it is Grassi. I think you were right on your first call there, Andrew. There's a super piece of fielding and George Dockrell hunting with him, but good running from the Munster Reds pair. I doubt we'll see too many 3s here in Sydney Parade all weekend, so very good running.
Yeah, good running, and the first signs of real aggression, good to see as well from Munster. I'd like to see them go at the youngster here, go to Halloran. That is what we're going to see. Not a good delivery, but a little bit clothed by PJ Moore, no sense of timing or power. One's going to go out to Andy Balbirnie in the deep, just a single. 4 balls they've got left to the fielding restrictions after these 4 deliveries. they ease, you can have 5 men outside the circle for the remaining 14 overs of the innings.
Yeah, I think PJ Moore was a little bit frustrated at that. He let out a groan after he hit the shot. I suspect he thought that was a boundary opportunity. As you say, I think it'd be good for them to try and target O'Halloran, test what he's made of. I think in the 50 over competition he's been bowling a lot with batters potentially letting him bowl to them. Be interesting to see how he can deal with it if these two come properly at him. So good to see Carty taking on that option. Short straight here at Pembroke, often is.
Thuds into the hip of Carty. Really good work by Tim Tector. Direct hit would have been close. Paul Reynolds quickly into position. He's going to signal leg by. I think Paul's probably happy. He didn't have a decision to make. That could well have been awfully close. The kind of one you'd have sent upstairs in a TV international. Let's have a look at it.
Yeah, seriously tight. Seriously good work from Tim Tector as well. Alive on it, one-handed pickup. Almost throwing the stumps down as well. Would have been certainly an interesting one.
Hit into the air, hit down towards Josh Little at third man, who takes the catch, reverse cup, really good, gets into position. That's going to be the first wicket. It was a turgid stay at the crease for PJ Moore. He never found his timing, and he has to fall looking to capitalise on the final deliveries of the power play. Third man so often has turned into a wicket taking position in the modern game. It proves so again. Good catch from Josh Little.
Yeah, good catch from Little, and good bowling from David O'Halloran, sticking to his guns there. That back of a length sort of delivery which he's become well accustomed to. That's his stock ball, and as you say, Andrew, it just wasn't happening for PJ Moore. 18 or 14, but he'll be a little bit disappointed there. He was trying to hit that one over a mid-wicket region, just got a big top edge on it. And the first wicket of the weekend for the Leinster Lightning goes to Dave O'Halloran.
Yeah, David O'Halloran, doesn't matter the format, what a debut season he's having. Bolted from the Malahides Cricket Club second 11 all the way into the Leinster Lightning over the course of really 18 months. Big growth spurt, the young man. Might not quite appear it on screen. You get a good demonstration of it here next to Barry McCarthy. Barry McCarthy probably 6 foot tall himself, so Halloran right up 6'3", 6'4", growing. And I think Nigel Jones telling me that the stronger he gets, the better he's going to get. Young man with a big future. It would have been a fantastic experience for him over with the senior side in Utrecht as well. One of the 4 travelling reserves, essentially net bowlers really. Murray Cummins in at number 3, Andrew.
Yeah, and we've seen Murray Cummins batting so beautifully in the 50 over format so far this year. It'll be interesting to see how he adapts to the 2020 format, and interesting to see how Jack Carty plays it from air now that he's lost his opening partner. Is he still going to come out aggressive and potentially risk a double wicket?
Just run off the face of the bat down towards Kevin O'Brien. Tidy up. O'Brien will probably be looking forward to the change of formats as well. He's been outstanding at the top of the order for Ireland in the last couple of years in the T20 stuff. You think he'll be going right from the off, some big zacks?
You'd like to think so. Obviously we had that moment here last year where he put one through his own car window, I believe, and he has the ability to hit those sort of shots, and those are the sort of big sixes we're looking forward to seeing throughout the entirety of this weekend. We haven't yet to see one just yet, but hopefully once one comes, a flood of them may come.
Yeah, that moment, O'Brien smashing his own car, going viral all the way around the world, live on Sky News the next day from the Toyota Long Mile setup. We were fixing it up the next day. It's a big hit for those who don't know Pembroke Cricket Club, to get it all the way down to the car park. That is a big hit. You're talking 85, 90 yards. Funniest part about it was, I think he actually knew as soon as he hit it, he said, God, I could be in trouble there. Piercing it right through the back window, and as ever, O'Brien, who loves the big stage, he'll relish the fact the crowds are back as well. Just starting to filter down the wall. 100 people, sold out, ticketed only, in line with the government regulations. So you cannot come and join even if you wanted to now, sold out, but enjoy it. All 6 games on the stream.
Yep, Murray Cummins facing up now for the first time this morning. As I say, he's been in such good form with the bat for the Munster Reds in the longer format of the game. But this T20 format is a completely different beast. And now with the 5 men out.
Just angling in. Yeah, Kevin O'Brien just indicating to us off camera there. Perhaps just a little slow, the pitch to get going this morning. That's maybe why the batter's just struggling a little. Carty in particular, again, his strike rate not where you'd want to be in a T20.
Yep, Cummins off the mark there. Jamie Grassi with a despairing dive in at mid-wicket. Yeah, we've just seen probably a lack of timing more than anything in this first 6.5 overs from the Munster Reds. Very little coming off the middle of the bat.
Really good length from Singh. Good work off his own bowling as well. Yeah, and of course at this stage of the game now with the power play over, this is where it becomes very difficult to work out your strategy as a batting team. For the left-handers, there's 3 men in the deep on the leg side. Hard to know where your boundary options are coming to in the deep and the offside, deep cover and long off. Very sort of formulaic stage of a T20, isn't it? And it's difficult to find ways to escalate that run rate. Do you get inventive? Do you look for your ramps, your scoops, your sweeps? But all of the key hitting areas, they're already blocked off with fielders in the deep.
Yeah, well, I think you do have to try to be inventive and try to force a change in that field and try to get something where you want to be hitting your bigger shots. Be interesting to see whether somebody will rock a reverse sweep out.
You see, the Leinster Lightning won't mind this. 5 singles and a dot from the over, just 5 runs coming from it. Good tight stuff from Singh, as it almost always is. 7 overs gone. 44 for 1. So with 7 overs gone, we're going to have the first commentary change of the morning. I'll bid farewell to Andrew Blair-White for the moment. I'll stay with you. Andrew Leonard here in the commentary position with John Kenny, who's joining us. John, you're jumping between sports at the moment. I was listening to your beautiful dulcet tones. Euro 2020, you were with Ronnie Whelan, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. I was on the Scottish match during the week. Very kind of you to say so. Yeah, it's been a good one. Got Spain and Poland now tomorrow, so been keeping us busy and keeping us on our toes. Nice to be here.
Poor old Ronnie was taking a bit of heat on social media. I think he called Scotland Celtic or something, did he? At one point?
It's easily done, you know. You just, you know yourself, a long time in commentary, you'd say something and you just didn't even know you'd said it.
Exactly right.
So that's the difference.
The key thing is just not to look at Twitter too much, I suppose.
Oh God, keep away from Twitter.
Keep away.
Exactly.
So John, a little bit of a placid start to what we thought might be a really big hitting festival. Kevin O'Brien just indicating to us off the camera that pitch may be a little slow.
Yeah.
Dockrell going to spin again.
It's pulled away. There's 2 men down there. It should be able to come through for the second. No, that's good fielding down there. Just to keep it to 1, yeah. And out for the toss earlier on. It looks like there's quite a bit of green on it as well. And George was actually quite happy to win the toss and bowl. Tyrone himself, Tyrone Kane, said either or, it didn't really matter to me, to be quite honest. But I think the team that's bowling first has certainly had the advantage because runs are hard to come by.
Yeah, perhaps just leaving that layer of grass on with the fact you're going to have 6 games in 3 days.
Yes. Oh, it's in the air, and that's going to be the first maximum, is it? Yeah, down the track he comes. Nice shot from Murray Cummins, up and over the head of the bowler, and the first maximum. And they needed that because they've been getting a bit stuck, haven't they, really? It's, as you said, what was the word you used? Turgid for PJ Morris? 18 off 14, but this is what they need to do now, just to try and accelerate as they come towards the 10th over, a midway point of their innings.
There we go. The pongoing has begun. About time we saw some 6s. We're here for the T20 festival. Great use of the feet from Murray Cummins down to the pitch. Really stylish, elegant, full flourish of the bat. Got to the pitch of it. No great turn for Dockrell yet. 6 runs to the total.
Nicely bowled. Just tried to run it off the face of the bat. Murray Cummins, as you mentioned, he's had a very good IP20 series. And this kind of format of the game might suit him. Just flipped away behind square on the leg side for a single. It's great to have, I know we don't have many in at the moment, they'll filter in throughout the afternoon, but it's great to have the maximum we're allowed is 100 people in. All tickets sold out for the 3 days. Warriors and the Knights starting at 4 o'clock, and we'll bring the commentary on all of the games.
Good work that from JJ Garth in the deep for the second time in the over. That was hit really powerfully. An old-fashioned long hop from Dockrell, but JJ Garth bails his captain out.
Well, Dockrell's the only one appealing here, and it's a loud, vociferous appeal. Nobody else seemed to go up with him. I don't think Paul Reynolds is too enamoured with that.
John, I think this is a little closer than you'd think. I think
Dockrell seems convinced.
I think Murray Cummins has completely misread the line. Obviously, height is the thing that has ended up saving Cummins there, but I think it was straight enough. If you look, the position of the keeper is always a good thing to look at with any LBW appeal. The keeper was not down the leg side. Keeper was directly behind the stumps because he's going to anticipate where the ball is going. And I think you can see why Dockrell went up with such a loud appeal. The additional bounce has probably saved Cummins. Not too often you see a leave in a T20, especially after you've hit a 6 in the over, but he survives.
But George was the only one convinced that it was, and nobody else went up at all. Anyway, 53 for 1, end of 8. Going to have a change of bowling now from the commentary box end. Barry McCarthy switching ends, the Irish international. And this is all prelude and a build up to the T20 World Cup, which was, as we know, due to be played in India, Australia. It's now a TBC in October, so more T20 cricket. These lads get in, the better.
John, I just want to touch on that form of Murray Cummins for a moment. The third highest run scorer in the IP20, 227 runs at an average of 56. Strike rate of just 70 though. So the interesting thing for me will be, with the change of format, can he get that strike rate up? Can he show the kind of power hitting that you need in modern T20 cricket? You can only really afford one player to be able to anchor innings. So can he elevate his strike rate up and help the Reds to a strong total on the first day?
Oh, it's an attempted catch from Simi Singh, and that's going to go all the way to the boundary. I don't know if Singh got anything on that, but it certainly was coming at him at fair old pace, diving away to his left hand side, goalkeeper style. Couldn't cut it off. 4 to the total.
Yeah, I think this would have been an unbelievable catch. The immediate call from O'Brien in front of us here was catch. I thought maybe it was aerial enough just to be able to cling on. Didn't get a hand on it. So important, your angles there in that cover position. You don't want to be beaten on your left, you protection on your right.
That's nicely played off the face of the bat for a single. Cummins is doing the right thing here, trying to score as quickly as he possibly can. Carthy's been there for a while now, 28 deliveries for just 25 runs, and in this format of the game we can't be afford to be hanging around. 8.3 overs down. It's time perhaps for Jack Carthy just to take a chance. He's there, he's got his start, and now he needs to push it on.
Yeah, reminiscent of the game on Tuesday in the 50 over format. Really struggled to get going, Carty. And that's why it was such a strange decision for me to see him elevated up the order. It was an agonising stay, that innings at number 4 where he made, I think it was just 13, John. 13 off 55 deliveries.
That's a long time to be occupying the crease, alright, but you can't do it in this format of the game. You've got to get on with it. Cummins has shown his intent with a maximum and a 4, and this one now whipped down to Kevin O'Brien in front of us. Just be the single.
Good demonstration again there for Cummins. Doesn't look like it comes naturally to him, the power hitting. Very elegant, stylish, technically correct batsman. He's been really impressive in the 50 over stuff, but certainly immediately there as he's trying to overhit, losing his shape completely, no timing, as you say, whipped it really down just for a single. McCarthy, remember, the leading wicket taker in the 50 over version of the game.
No No slip in place. That's come off the pad, so they're going to run through for a leg by, signalled by umpire Hawthorne. And that's the end of the over then. 62 for 1, 9 overs down. Batsman out is PJ Moore. Caught little Bolo O'Halloran for 18 of 14 deliveries. Still at the crease, 26 not out, Jack Carthy. And Murray Cummins on 15.
John, I'm going to nip out for just one over, something very important to do. I'll come back to you with what that is in just a moment. Andrew will replace me.
I'm privileged. And Docker's going to continue then. Went for 9 off his first over, including a very nice 6 belted over his head by Murray Cummins. Also a loud appeal for an LB, which wasn't given. That's turned around the corner. That's going to go for 4. Nice shot from Carthy. Just up on his toes, whipped it round the corner. Got the treatment it deserved. And another boundary for the Munster Reds.
Yeah, lovely batting. This from Jack Carty. It's a drag down from George Dockrell. He won't be happy with it whatsoever. Carty surely now needs to start going through the gears there. Running a ball 30 so far.
It's yes, no. What happened there was that Murray Cummins dropped his bat, and Jack Carthy was kind of edging down towards him, and Cummins didn't look up at all. He could have run through and left the bat there. There was an easy single, just eased down the ground, and that's a lost opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. It seemed that everyone was a bit asleep at the wheel there.
Beautiful morning here at Pembroke Cricket Club. For the first of these games today. Second one's at 4 o'clock, the Knights and the Warriors. We're going to continue all through the weekend. We'll move to Breedy for the second series, and then to a venue in the Northern Cricket Union for the last series of T20 games in the IP series. Got away with that? No, I thought for a second that umpire Reynolds wasn't going to signal the wide, but it was.
Yeah, Dockrell just searching for that wide line.
You can see that shot by Cummins there. Now, it's a misfield. It's a bad misfield down there by McCarthy. So they're able to run through for the second. He's lucky enough he was able to get back and prevent the 4. But just the way that Cummins played that ball doesn't seem to be quite coming onto the bat.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit slow off the pitch, and what we're seeing is out on that side of the ground. It's a little bit hard and bumpy in the field.
That's what Carthy needs to do now. That's Murray Cummins, my apologies. He actually came down the track, and it's going to be close. And a big appeal, and a referee, or umpire I should say, I've got 2 codes I'm on at the moment. The umpire, Reynolds, says he got home.
Yeah, there was just a hint of hesitation, and it's seriously good work from JJ Garth on the deep mid-wicket boundary. One-handed pick-up. I think Reynolds probably in the right there, giving Jack Carty the benefit of the doubt. Definitely, though, the right intent from the Munster Reds. They reach the halfway stage of their innings, 72 for 1. It's been a good start. They'll be looking certainly to be trying to score more up towards that 90, 100 runs in the second half of their innings.
Yeah, it's a good platform. They've only 1 down. Carthy's now well set on his 31. Cummins has shown good intent for his 19. Simi Singh now just to change in the field. Seems to be bowling to an offside field. There's plenty on the offside. We've got a short third man to cover on the leg side boundary. Kevin O'Brien just in front of us at long on. So spin at both ends. It's gone straight through him. Down the track came Jack Carthy, and he's been stumped. And it's a clever piece of bowling from Simi Singh. Carthy, as we said, obviously anxious to get on with it. Nice flighted delivery, and he decided to go down the track at him, and when the ball went straight through him, an easiest stumping. And the second wicket down on the score on 72.
Yeah, Carty just probably premeditating that a little bit too much. And to Simi Singh, who's always watching you as a bowler. He's fired that in. It's good sharp work from Lorcan Tucker. Sometimes can be hard, those ones, when they've missed leg stump. Jack Carty departs for 31, 35 deliveries. Bits of promise there for Carty. Probably just needs to learn and this step up in grade, just how to rotate the strike that a little bit more, just to keep the board ticking along. But a good knock nonetheless, and it brings the Munster Reds captain Tyrone Kane to the crease.
Yeah, he's set his platform for his team, hasn't he? He's just starting the 11th over with that dismissal. So Tyrone Kane, the captain, as you say, coming to the crease now. A man who's a power hitter himself, Tyrone Kane, captain, Dubliner. Played in the test match against Pakistan back in 2018, an experienced player. And this is what they've been trying to do by moving players around the different provincial sides. Munster Reds in particular, having introduced them into the IP20 series for the first time, trying to strengthen their lineup. Obviously they're missing the likes of Curtis Camphor, and Delaney's out as well, two big players for them, both requiring surgery at the moment ahead of a busy season for the Irish men's team. Change in the field. Singh is also changing his angle of attack for the first ball to Tyrone Kane. That's a good stop. Fielding off his own bowling by Singh.
Yeah, very good stop, very good piece of fielding. Keeps the pressure on. They'll be looking to try bowl a cluster of dots here to the new batter.
Just ease down the ground. Josh Little does the fielding, and Kane off the mark.
Yep, Tyrone Kane, one of the key batters in this Munster Reds lineup, as he's shown in the IP20 series so far.
Singh going around the wicket to the left-hander, Cummins, who tries the reverse. I was looking for that to be dispatched. I was looking across to the left, right-hand side there. Looked up and I saw it was in Tucker's hands. Kane calls him through quickly, and a slight misfield. And they run through for a bye, a leg bye indeed.
Yeah, very smart bowling again from Simi Singh there. That almost came out as a seamer. He saw Cummins again. When he sees batters premeditating coming down the track, he's very good at readjusting his lines and his, most importantly, his pace. He did that to count for Jack Carty. Done that again there, and almost getting Cummins out in exactly the same way.
That's cracked away to Andy Balbirnie. Good stop by the Irish captain, and he's got a great arm too. They need to back that one up as it went through Singh and Dockrell into Tucker. That's a bit of baseball going on out there to end that over. 74 for 1 at the end of 11. Check that at 75 for 1 now at the end of 11. And that was an entertaining bit of cricket from Andy Balbirnie. And one Andrew steps out, another one comes back. You've got some important stuff to tell us, I believe.
Not just yet, John.
Oh, okay.
Life is all about timing.
Oh, I
so
see.
as you know, just like cricket, we've just got to hold on a few minutes. But I'll bring you that news in just a couple of overs, so do stay with us. Yeah, a little bit of movable chairs and movable Andrews in the commentary box. Andrew Leonard back in with you now. Going to see some leg spin for the first time in the week. JJ Garth at his home ground. A real talent, this youngster. The brother, of course, of Kim Garth down in Australia now. Really developing hugely as a cricketer down there. But from a real pedigree of sporting family here. His mother, Anne-Marie, playing cricket for Ireland. Johnny, of course, playing cricket for Ireland as well. Something about Irish cricket, isn't there? It just runs in the blood.
Absolutely. 20 years of age now. From Pembroke, as he said. Also played for the Munster Reds back in 2019. And part of the Irish Cricket Academy, which obviously is the setup that's trying to bring players through, both men and women's players through to into provincial and then onto international level. 75 for 2 as we start the 12th. So 9 overs to go and work to do for Munster Reds. That's a good stop. That really was hammered back at him. Full toss. Got away with it, but a really good stop by Garth. Down around his toes.
And he is a full dimension cricketer. He's good with the ball, very good with the bat. Watch his batting, John. His batting is really progressing. Hits it hard and strong. And he's an outstanding fielder. Maybe one of the best fielders you'll see on show across the entire weekend.
Well, he certainly showed it there, didn't he? So we got spin at both ends. And obviously getting through the overs very quickly. We started here, 11 o'clock, and we're already into the 12th over. Comes on 19. The change in the field, a backward point. O'Halloran's in there. Oh, it's a bit of a false shot from Cummins. Tried to get to the pitch of the ball, but able to squirt it into the leg side for a single.
Yeah, another good example of Cummins maybe not being comfortable playing this power hitting game. In a 50 over format there, he'd have worked that through the offside for a single. Instead completely loses his shape, skews it into the leg side for one.
That was a good shot for no runs. Straight at George Dockrell.
The size of the 6 Tyrone Kane hit in Cork, John, is extraordinary.
It's magnificent arena down there, isn't it?
This one was right down into Cork city centre.
That could be another one. That's gone all the way for the maximum too. They'll be searching for that in the bushes away to our left hand side, up and over the few spectators we've got in. And there's nothing that O'Halloran could do about that. Beautiful shot from Tyrone Kane, second maximum of the morning.
Biggest of the festival so far, maybe not the biggest of the weekend, but that is a big hit. There's no small boundaries here at Pembroke today, and the crowd are back in. They're getting peppered by Tyrone Kane. His batting is coming on leaps and bounds. There's shades of another man, shades of George Dockrell and Tyrone Kane. Primarily known as a bowler, but Dockrell's batting elevated to a different plane. And what about Tyrone Kane really showing it both through the IP20 and now in the IP20. This power hitting part of his game is something that's developed hugely in the last 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, he leads by example, doesn't he? It was a beautiful shot. You could hear from here the sound of Willow on ball as it rattled away off the middle of the bat. Second maximum. That's cracked down the ground, and Degrassi can't cut it off. So 10 runs off the last 2 balls. This is exactly what the Munster Reds needs, just to accelerate things, and perhaps with Carthy leaving for, was it 37 he scored, but on the score on 72, someone like Tyrone Kane coming in here is just able to accelerate, whereas Carthy probably just gave them a little bit of a platform to work on.
Yeah, JJ Garth couldn't get out of his first over. You could see he was trying to go flatter and quicker with his leg break, but it didn't quite pay off.
It's great to be hearing Tano announcer Heatley Tector welcoming those from Mullingar Cricket Club who are here today to watch this festival of cricket. Quiet start to the morning, but I can imagine there'll be more rambunctious as the day progresses. Beautiful afternoon here. The bar will be open shortly, and a maximum of 100 spectators in every day. And O'Halloran now switches ends. Swing and a miss.
George Dockrell really rotating his bowlers around. Let's take a look at the bowling figures if we can. See the options for George Dockrell. One of his concerns is going to be his own bowling form. Hasn't been the start to the year, or the last 12 months, 18 months really, that Dockrell would have liked with the ball. Can't stop getting runs, but struggling with the ball. So that's why we've seen the 6th bowler introduced in JJ Garth. Between himself and Garth, they'll have to make up at least 4 overs. You'd imagine O'Halloran will bowl his 4.
One hand off the bat from Cummins. On to 21 off 17. Again, there's the bowling figures. Josh Little 10 from his 2 so far. The wickets falling to O'Halloran and also to Singh, who's been, well, his usual profligate self. 3 overs, 1 for 18. And George Dockrell saying before this game that he was looking forward to seeing O'Halloran bowl in this format of the game. Big opportunity for the 22-year-old from Malahide. Tries the bounce ball. And roars of approval from the Mullingar contingent away to our left-hand side. It's swatted away.
I think things could get a little rowdy in the course of the
Looking
afternoon.
forward to it. It's great.
These Bulmers and these Guinnesses are going to flow along the Pembroke wall.
How many games have we done this season where it's been absolutely quiet? It's great to hear.
Pin drop silence.
Exactly. It's great to hear.
It's made a big difference in the Euros, John, as well.
Oh,
isn't it?
huge.
The atmosphere there, particularly for that Denmark game against Belgium.
Wonderful.
Emotional as well.
Yeah, drag Denmark on, but you can't play on pure emotion for the 90 minutes. Belgium's my tip actually for the Euros from the start.
Might be there with you.
Yeah, the only problem I think about the Belgians really is that the back 3 looks a little suspect, and if the team like the Italians can get at them, they might be in trouble. Anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah,
let's concentrate on the cricket.
John Kenny, of course, doing a great job with RTE Sport. We're hearing his voice across many of the games. We'll see him on air tomorrow, but great to have him here in Pembroke. With me, Andrew Leonard. And stay with us wherever you're watching from around the world. We've got some big news coming for you in about 8 balls' time. The Halloran's had quite the start.
Yeah, he's had a decent start, all right, and he's had bowled at both ends as well as the sun breaks through. And as the sun breaks through as well, as you talked about the fact that there is still a bit of green on this wicket as well, and the wind blowing as well, as it'll dry out and hopefully it'll get faster during the day. That's nicely played. Just waited on it, and they're going to come back for the second. Fielding that there is extremely good from Leinster Lightning as well. There's not a lot getting past these fielders out there.
Yeah, Barry McCarthy this time making good ground across to his left. And really good stuff from him. You can see again there, Murray Cummins just looks so much more comfortable guiding the ball, steering the ball, working the ball.
Yeah, rather than going at it. End of 13, 93 for 2. There's the batting figures so far. 2 forwards in the lineup today for the Munster Reds. Theo Dempsey, the unlucky player to lose out. Rory Anders left on the sideline for Leinster from their 12, 93 from 78 deliveries. It's good, but it's not great. So they need to push on from here now. 7 overs to go. Make the full commitment. Still plenty of players batting to come. A lot reliant, I think, on Tyrone Kane. If Cummins is going to be the man at the other end knocking around the 1s and 2s, Kane's going to have to go after the bowling.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting as well is how important is the power hitting going to be of the Ford brothers and Fionn Hand. Fionn Hand's so impressive, 49 off 21 deliveries. Batting like Paul Sterling down in the Mardyke.
A shame is we won't see Sterling this weekend. Next week we'll see him in Breedy. He'll be back from playing for Middlesex in the Blast. I was watching his opening game against Surrey, was it? Yeah, Surrey, where he was tonking them all over the ground. Game they lost, but it was brilliant to watch Paul Sterling in full flow. 94 for 2 in the 14th over. I'm waiting with bated breath here for the next 5 deliveries to be completed now, because Andrew Leonard's got some exciting news for us.
Yeah, breaking news coming.
Breaking news.
Over. I'll bring it to you when George Dockrell finishes out.
Cummins steps back in his crease and carbs it away for 4. A nice shot. He just waited on that. And as you mentioned, George is getting a bit of a treatment out there. Dockrell bowling from the far end. Just rock back on his heels there and chip that over. Backward point for a welcome boundary. Takes him to 24. Kane is catching up quite quickly. He's on 16. In fact, that's on to 28 now. Down the track he comes, Murray Cummins, and that's belted away for 6. Well, that's exactly what they need now to start accelerating in this portion of the innings. A 4 for the previous delivery, and now the 3rd maximum of the Munster Reds innings.
Not sure this is a good option from Dockrell, bringing himself on to the left-handed Cummins, who's been the only batter, the only bowler that Cummins has looked comfortable against has been Dockrell. And that's because the left-arm spinner is bringing the ball into the left-hander. Boundaries, the only place they're even a touch short here in Pembroke, are straight. And Cummins doing exactly that, dancing down the track after hitting a 4 over the offside and dispatching him for the second 6 off Dockrell. Pressure on the Leinster Lightning captain. Pressure on the Leinster Lightning. Munster Reds 100 up.
Again, down the wicket he comes, just eases that down to McCarthy down there for a single. And the combination of left and right obviously requires the change in the field. Dockrell now coming around. And they were just moving the sight screen, so the 2 volunteers down there just hadn't got out of the line of vision of Tyrone Kane for a second, so he stepped away. Kane down the track to end that over. It's 106 for 2 at the end of 14.
So John, breaking news here from Cricket Ireland HQ, and sad news in a way. Kevin O'Brien today announces his retirement from one-day international cricket. 15 years on from stepping onto the field at Stormont to play in the first ever Irish one-day international. We've lost another one of the players of the golden generation of Irish cricket. The legendary all-rounder has called time on his 50-over international career, and he's left behind a record-breaking and quite remarkable record. He's not just Ireland's leading caps holder in ODI cricket, representing Ireland 153 times in ODIs. We will not see him on the pitch again in the green of Ireland in 50-over cricket, but a long career ahead in the T20 format, we hope. 375 appearances for Ireland, many more good days ahead of him. He's come down just in front of our position here. I'm sure he won't want the attention on him, that's not the way he is. But just going to read his quote from it. After 15 years playing for Ireland, I feel now is the right time to step away and retire from ODI cricket. It's been an honour and a privilege to represent my country 153 times in 50 overs, and the memories I take from that will last a lifetime. It's not been an easy decision, but after ongoing consideration, I don't feel I can contribute to the ODI team.
Tries to catch it. It's going to drop short of Josh Little. I didn't see that coming.
As much as I have in the past, I'll just finish out, John. The hunger and love for the ODI format is no longer the same as it was. It wouldn't be fair to Andy, the captain, Graham, the team, our supporters to continue play while no longer feeling at 100%. I've had some unbelievable moments with the team since 2006, 3 World Cups in particular, the personal successes and spending time travelling and playing all over the world, but I will now shift my focus and remain fully committed to T20 cricket with two World Cups in the next 18 months and hoping to add to my 3 caps in Test cricket. So a sad day, but an understandable decision, and we're hoping and wishing Kev all the best for the future. We're hoping that in about 20-30 minutes time he'll be back out opening the batting, and he'll be back out pongoing the ball everywhere, because that's what he's done so brilliantly for Ireland over the years, John.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure watching him. Came into the Irish setup pretty much when I came into the Irish setup to do the commentaries as well, so I followed his career obviously right throughout the last almost 2 decades. And that never to be forgotten bash of Bangalore, and also the century in the Test match back in 2018. I was privileged to be on commentary when he hit the ball away for the time when he moved the total onto 3 figures. Memorable day. $108 for 2. That's full toss. He got away with that. Just the single.
Yeah, Reds really lining up for a big blitz now towards the end of this innings. 5 overs left after this one. I think they'll be just happy to get through Singh's spell. Singh so often the prime performer with the ball. The sunshine streams across the ground now. Beautiful day for cricket. Beautiful day for this IP20 festival.
Comes on 36. And he did, as you say, like the bowling of George Dockrell. So he's finding Singh a little bit tougher nut to crack. It's down the leg side. And a long chase down there for Barry McCarthy. Does well actually to slide and pull it back in again and prevent the boundary. But they run through for 2.
Actually going to be signalled as a wide, isn't it, John? So
3.
Yeah, they'll get 3 to the total. I at first thought there might have been some contact with it. I didn't know whether it was the batter, maybe even the pad of the glove, but Mark Hawthorne's decided that was a wide.
Well, this is what they need to do now, just to keep the scoreboard ticking over. If you can't get boundaries, just get the ones, keep it ticking over constantly all the time. End of the over. 5 to go. 114 for 2.
Yeah, so John, just a little more on this Kevin O'Brien decision, just to clarify, in case you're misreading it, just retiring from the ODI format. So I think O'Brien clearly indicating he didn't feel he could get to that 50 over World Cup in 2023, perhaps not enjoying the 50 over format as much as the T20 game. He's got a young family, I know it will be an emotional day for everyone close to the O'Briens. But the good news is an awful lot more we will see of the 37-year-old Ireland's record caps holder. 375 appearances for Ireland. You wouldn't be betting against him getting up towards 400. And that's a record caps holder, not just in cricket, John. Any man or woman in any sport. And just to give you a sense of his longevity and his brilliance for Ireland, those 153 ODIs, 200s, 1850s, an average nearly 30, strike rate of nearly 90. But also, something that's often forgotten, Ireland's leading ODI wicket taker, the only Irishman to take more than 100 ODI wickets, 114. And his all-round brilliance for Ireland, we might have seen the last of it in the 50 over format, but hopefully we'll see much more of it in the T20s. And as he said in the press release, it's now gone out, maybe a few more test caps as well. The Maestro of Malahide, as you called him, John.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it that Ireland, and we've seen it in the recent past, the games against the Netherlands in particular and Afghanistan, it's in the air. There's someone underneath that. Should be an easy catch for Garassi, and nicely taken as well. Kane trying to just force the issue there. Got our big top edge on that, and Garassi caught the steepling ball.
Yeah, it's the angle from Josh Little that's again deceived the right-handed batsman. We've seen this so much, particularly against the Netherlands for Ireland. Stepping outside his leg stump, Kane, he was looking up to open up the offside and hit through it, probably trying to go over extra cover, but he didn't get anything like the amount of bat he wanted on it. Comes off a leading edge, really good catch that from Jamie Garassi. It spiralled underneath him. He managed to cling on, not in the reverse cup fashion that Josh Little had done earlier in the innings, the more traditional way, just taking it right under his chin. Good catch that. And Tyrone Kane's gone for 20.
And Greg Ford, the new batsman, coming in at number 5, born in Natal, son of Graham Ford, the Irish head coach, 29 years of age, makes his way out to the middle. Yeah, what I was saying about the Irish men's senior team, obviously they've struggled in the World Series games that are qualifiers for the 50 over World Cup, and Kevin O'Brien has been at the top of the order. He's been elevated up the order as well, but he hasn't really done it with the bat, and neither has the likes of William Porterfield or whatever. So there's a lot of work to do to make sure that they get a good top order batsman in there to back up the likes of Paul Sterling and also Andy Balbarney as well. And maybe that's something to do with the thinking from Kevin O'Brien. Time waits for no man, there's no doubt about that, and he's had a wonderful career down the years. But to concentrate fully on the T20 format of the game with a couple of World Cups to come, and also on hopefully more test matches, although we could do it a few more for Ireland, couldn't we? But that's not our decision. But I think perhaps it's a good idea. It's a good move, and it'll just give Kevin time to concentrate fully on A, his family, and obviously B, on getting it right in the T20 format of the game, which is very important this year in a World Cup year. Shot Commons. No need to run for that.
Yeah, glorious shot inside out over extra cover. Just one bounce away into the crowd there. Well fielded by that lady and right on the wall. The extra pace and just a little bit of width is the killer there for Little. Ends up being pumped away over the offside for 4 more to the total for the Reds. Yeah, John, everything you're saying very understandable. For me, I'd love to have seen Kev continue in the middle order for Ireland at 50 overs, but it's all about whether he was enjoying it or not. And that came out strongly in his quotes. I just want to read you as well what Graham Ford said about Kevin just quickly, as you had mentioned him. Kevin has played an enormous role in the development of Irish cricket. He's delivered regularly on the world stage, particularly in the ODI format. It's been a pleasure to work with him. As part of the ODI squad, he's truly been a role model for many teammates over the years. I look forward to working with Kev in the other formats, and while his decision to step away from ODI cricket is sad, I think we'd all echo that. He can do so in the knowledge he leaves an absolutely incredible legacy on the ODI game in Ireland and around the world. Ireland record caps holder in the ODI format, who is calling time in the 50 over.
Yeah, to a certain extent I'd agree with you, but if he's going to be elevated up the order originally and then drop back down the order again, I mean, what is the point of that? Graham Ford is going to have to make his mind about what he needs at a top order batsman. Kevin's now well into his 30s. He's got his academy going on as well, so a lot more stuff going on in his life as well. So I think Fordy needs to concentrate on getting batters to supplement what Sterling and Balbirnie does. And I don't think it's going to be obviously a sad day that Kevin has announced his retirement from the 50 over versions of the game, but I don't think it's going to be the worst thing for him or for Irish cricket.
Yeah, messages coming in from all over the world, John. And there from David Townsend. Is he the GOAT? In my book he is. I think that's what David Townsend says. I'm going to leave you. Go away and have an emotional moment to myself, John. I'll leave you with Andrew Blair-White.
Well, Andrew Blair-White, that caught us unawares.
Yeah, very much so. Massive news in the entirety of Irish cricket. As Andrew said, saddening news. See the end of a brilliant one-day international career for Kevin O'Brien, but I'm sure the decision's taken a long time mulling over. Time to try and increase potentially the lifespan of his T20 international career.
Oh, bowled him. Ford didn't last long, did he? David O'Halloran's had a good spell. That's his second wicket, and he's beaten them all ends up. And the fourth wicket goes down in the 17th over. Well bowled. Just took the bails off the off, and Ford's gone for a single, and the score on 120 for 4 now.
Yeah, it was a bit of a nothing shot from Greg Ford, playing across the line there. Just needed to get a single to get Murray Cummins on strike. It's good bowling from Dave O'Halloran, 2 for 13, entering his 4th over at the moment. He's been absolutely superb, as he has been throughout the entirety of this season. Greg Ford's going to be replaced by his brother Matt Ford, who batted so well down in the Mardyke. I was surprised he's still coming in at number 6. I thought he'd be up the order today. I thought Fionn Hand would be up the order as well. I don't know what else they need to do to push themselves up, given how well they played on Tuesday. But still, a really important spell in the game here, this 4 overs. The difference between Munster posting 140 and 160 is extremely big, even psychologically, going into the run chase. So
Yeah, you were talking about maybe 170 would have been a good score here, wouldn't it? That's a long way off. Just got bogged down a little. Kane went for 20. Cummins is still there. A lot resting on his shoulders now, the man on 42. And Matt Ford, the younger brother of Greg Ford, is at the crease facing O'Halloran. He's got 2 for. A hit, and he's out. Oh, just missed. And they're going to come through for the overthrows. Yes, they are. They get 2 runs there, but I think a hit and he was gone.
yeah, I think Cummins had accepted his fate there. There's a tip and run job from Matt Ford there, straight to Tim Tector. A backward point, and Tim will be angry with himself. There's an opportunity to hit. Only the one stump to aim at, mind. But they managed to get through for 2.
Oh, it's dropped. Backward point. Tim Tector has been in the game in the last couple of deliveries. It was straight to him.
Well bowled from Dave O'Halloran. That back of a length delivery again causing problems. Spooned off the bat of Matt Ford there, and Tector will be disappointed. Just got the one hand on it. Whether he could have got the second hand on it as well remains to be seen, but opportunity gone. Also, more importantly for the Reds, gets Murray Cummins on strike.
Down towards Cameron O'Brien, George Dockrell. Dockrell assumes responsibility and that keeps it to a single. Cummins 43, Ford on 3. 3.2 overs remaining. They've got to push it on towards the 150. Give them something to bowl at.
Yeah, you'd have to think 150 is an absolute bare minimum from here. Really need to be getting up more towards that 160, 165 mark. I think this is good to see as well. Dave O'Halloran with Kevin O'Brien there at the end of his run up, talking him through. Obviously Dave O'Halloran, very young man, growing in the game, and Kevin O'Brien's seen it all before, so good to see experience being used to best effect.
Turned around the corner by Ford. Up on his toes. It's been a very good spell by O'Halloran. And I'm reading George Dockrell saying he was really looking forward to seeing O'Halloran bowl in this format of the game. When he hasn't let him down so far, if George has been a bit expensive at the other end, O'Halloran has backed him up. He's taken some very good wickets so far. More back in the hutch, and also Greg Ford as well. It's a good spell from him.
I think it's 2 for 18 going into his final delivery here for O'Halloran. He'll just be looking to close out nicely here. A single or even a 2 will do for him. He's been excellent, bowling in different times as well. Bowled a couple of overs in the power play, bowled an over in the middle overs, and now back near the death as well, and has been very good in every facet. So very impressive performance from O'Halloran on T20 debut for the Lightning.
Great big build up, and he bowls one of those wides.
How often is that the case?
It was just changing the field there before he bowled that delivery, and it pushed Barry McCarthy down to third man. George Dockrell and Kevin O'Brien coming in, have a quick word with O'Halloran. That's thumped straight into the hands of Kevin O'Brien, and that ends the over. It's 17 down, 127 for 4.
Yeah, Murray Cummins 44 not out, and this Munster Reds innings really dependent on him now. Very good spell finished up there from Dave O'Halloran. His 4 overs yielding 2 big wickets. Munster Reds 127 for 4 here, 3 overs to go, 11 and over, bringing them to 160. Barry McCarthy coming back into the attack on the St. John's end. 2 overs for 18. Probably hasn't been at his best today, McCarthy, with the ball in hand, but he's got 2 overs and 2 key overs to bowl. You'd assume he'll bowl 18 and 20 here from the St. John's end. Bowling to Commons.
Gonna look for the second one here. Oh, there's trouble, and it went to the wrong end. Ford was looking at Murray Cummins to come, and Cummins wasn't coming out of his crease. In fact, you could see Murray Cummins with his hands out, saying, "What were you doing?"
Yeah, I'm not sure Cummins was ever interested in 2 there. Went straight to JJ Garth. Ford trying to rush through and get the set batter on strike.
Bit of extra pace, not a lot of bounce. Remains 128 for 4 in the 18th over. Can't blame Ford for wanting the hurry up. Commons wasn't interested.
At the moment for the Munster Reds, dot balls is exactly not what they require. Need to be getting at least a single a ball here.
Pumped down the ground for the single. Nice fielding by Josh Little down there, just prevents the second run.
It's been an innings that's just failed to quite get going for the Munster Reds. They've just lost wickets at key intervals of the game, and as a result, stumbling along here around 7.5 and over. Looks a very flat pitch out there.
Well, that might be a way to bring up your half century. George Dockrell looking at that one, sailing over his head, full toss, got the full treatment it deserved into the leg side, and a half century for Murray Cummins. It's been a while in coming, but a well deserved one too. Just stepped across his stumps and flicked that into the leg side, and 50 for Murray Cummins.
Yeah, another brilliant innings from Murray Cummins off just 32 deliveries, bringing it up with his 3rd big 6 of the day as well. McCarthy straying from his lengths. Cummins will be disgusted with himself there that he's missed out. Another full toss from McCarthy, either side of Simi Singh, and that's 4 runs. He just finds the fielder. So key in this last 13 deliveries. The Munster Reds try to add a little bit of momentum to their innings and try to get themselves up to that total we keep talking about, John, that 160.
A big appeal and out. Early gets to his half century and lasts 2 more deliveries before he's trapped in front, and that ends the 18th over at 135 for 5. Good effort from Commons, although just perhaps not quite what the Munster Red needed perhaps to push things on a little quicker, but he's a class batsman, there's no doubt about it. And in the 50 format of the game, he was able to work the ball around the ground absolutely brilliantly. But that's a good 50 for him, and it's given something for the Munster Reds to work on with 2 overs to go.
Exactly. A brilliant innings from Murray Cummins again. Yet another boundary, or yet another 50 should I say, of 34 balls, and unfortunately there just hasn't been the same level of support from his Reds batting partners. But we're seeing Fionn Hand come to the crease now, and these 2 overs are key. Matt Ford and Fionn Hand put on a very lively partnership at the back end of the innings down in the Mardyke on Tuesday. They'll be looking to try and do the same again.
Josh Little now coming on from the commentary box, and just to let you know that at the end of the innings, myself and Andrew Leonard will be in camera and we will be chatting all things cricket, And talking about the festival of IP20, the next series of games which will take place in Breedy, and then the final set in September, about the announcement of Kevin O'Brien stepping away from T50 cricket, and all things besides. That will be between the innings, and that's coming up at the end of the Munster Reds innings. It stands now at 135 for 5, so hopefully you'll stay with us for that.
Yeah, should be an excellent run chase one way or another, and then on to the 4 o'clock game. Should be another excellent game between the Northern Knights and the North Wales Warriors.
Oh, that's a beautiful catch from Andy Balbirnie, having to dive forward for that full length, and he takes the cap off and salutes the Mullingar supporters away to his right hand side. The Irish captain holding on to an absolutely tremendous catch.
Yeah, very good catch from Andy Balbirnie. Matt Ford, I'm sure when he hit that, thought he might be getting 4 runs. Hit it flush out to deep cover. Can often be hard out there as well with the ball dropping on you. It's quite hard to get depth from that sort of angle in the ground. But it's another wicket for the Lightning, and they just keep chipping away, and the Munster Reds just failing to build any type of momentum here. Just the 10 deliveries left, still on 135. You'd have to think at the moment this is below par.
What a tremendous catch that was. Anyone who's played a little bit of cricket, trying to catch a ball coming at you at speed is difficult enough when it's dipping like that all the time and you have to dive forward. That was an international class catch. Seamus Lynch, the man from Terranure, underage international, wearing 77, is the man who's replaced Matt Ford. Fionn Hann now facing because the batsman did cross.
Yeah, you just feel at the moment in the last couple of overs the Reds have really missed out on some of the fundamentals there. So many dot balls in key areas of the game. Got to minimise dot balls at this time. We're in the 19th over, first 3 deliveries, all dots. They're kind of going for the big, headline shot, and sometimes you got to just get 1s and 2s away as well off good balls. Another dot again there. Fionn Hann trying to play an ambitious shot off the back foot over extra cover, and just hasn't been overly smart batting, John, in the last 3 or 4 overs. They just have allowed too many dots, and as a result this innings has slightly just slipped away from them.
Yeah, sluggish. That's how you'd probably comment on the Munster Reds innings. Murray Cummins on 51. Jack Carthy made 31. That's into the offside to Balbirnie. But just the single to the total is not what they need at this particular juncture, with 7 deliveries to come. If you want to get in contact with us, don't forget our Twitter handle. It's at Cricket Ireland. That's at Cricket Ireland. Any questions you'd like to have for myself and Andrew Leonard, who will be joining me very shortly as well. We'll let Andrew Blair White go through the 2 cards, batting and bowling at the end of this innings, and we'll have a chat about all things cricket, and also that announcement of Kevin O'Brien's retirement from the 50 format of the game. That's coming up very shortly. But as it is, 7 deliveries to come, and Munster need to push this towards that 150 if they can. Well, there's 4 of them. That's a nice shot. Dissects the fielders, 2 of them on the offside, and up to 140 at the end of 19.
Yeah, brilliant shot this from Seamus Lynch. There's a man out at deep backward point and a man out at deep cover, and he's managed somehow to pierce the gap there. That's an incredible shot off just your first delivery. Just showing the class that Lynch possesses. I'm surprised to see him down the order here at number 8, to be honest. He opens the batting for his club Terranure. He's opened the batting before for the Munster Reds. And obviously They've got 3 games between this weekend. We might see chopping and changing in terms of the order and in terms of the personnel on offer. I know Mitchell Thompson missing out this first game, a young leg spinner from YMCA. I'm sure we'll see him during the weekend as well. So, but a good start from Lynch. 140 for 6 with 1 over to go.
And it's going to be McCarthy then, who finishes spell. 1 for 26. Barry McCarthy, the Irish international. He's just club cricket here in Pembroke, 28 years of age. Also played a little spell at Durham. Owed much to that, the recommendation of Ben Stokes. That's down the leg side and will be called a wide by umpire Reynolds. $4 start, don't forget, for the Knights against the Warriors. 1 of 5 matches this weekend. We'll start again tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock and also on Sunday. Weather's a bit iffy, I'm hearing, for Sunday. It should be okay tomorrow and for the rest of today. And bowled him. Goes for the big hoik. Few on hand. Last over. He might as well. And he's castled. And the 7th wicket down at the score 141.
Good bowling from Barry McCarthy. You miss, I hit. Full and straight. Few on hand. Nothing you can do with something like that. It's a good delivery. And unable to replicate the heroics down in the Mardyke. He falls for just 1. And again, you'd have to think, especially after Seamus Lynch has carted his first ball for a boundary, why you wouldn't just get the non-striker on strike. But going for the big shot. Barry McCarthy too good.
That's Aaron Cawley, a 21-year-old from Phoenix. Hails from the Horse and Jockey in County Tipperary. Made his T20 debut for the Munster Reds back in the 2017 Interpro Series. And he makes his way to the middle with 5 deliveries to come. And that's going to go all the way to the boundary for 4. Must have got something on that. Yeah, just tickled around his legs. That's a nice way to open your account. Nice little gift from McCarthy.
Yeah, lovely shot this though from Aaron Cawley. Little leg glance. McCarthy going again for that leg stump Yorker and straining ever so slightly with Josh Little in the ring, short fine leg. Anything, any bat, even any pad on that is always just going to run away for 4 here. And that's a bonus boundary for the Reds. Good shot from Aaron Cawley.
Yeah, it was. Just looking at that on replay as well. Just use the pace of the ball to tap it off his legs. And as you say, a very quick outfield here. So that's nicely done as well. Worked into the leg side. There'll just be the single though to Balbirnie. They all know he's got a very good arm. Just inching their way, Andrew, to that 150.
Yeah, and I think it'd even be psychologically big for them if they were to get up to that 150 mark. Gives them something to defend. Like Aaron Cawley himself. Josh Manley, they'll just be praying for something to get their teeth into as a bowling unit.
Got away with one there. Those in the ground today. It's good to see that the ticket receipts for the 100 people who will be here for the next couple of days will be used to benefit the Cricket Leinster Disability Programme, including the purchase of a new table cricket sets for use by clubs and youth sporting organisations. So it's not going to waste, folks. 2 deliveries to come then. 146 for 7. Might come back for a second here. I'm going to take on Degrassi. And is that out? Looks like he made it.
Yeah, just about. Jamie Grassi running in hard from deep mid-wicket there. Looked a tight one, but Paul Reynolds deciding for caution. And they managed to get through for 2. Just off the inside edge of the bat from Seamus Lynch, no timing whatsoever. But one more ball to try to get a boundary away, to try to finish this Munster Reds innings on a bright note.
And Lynch carved one away for 4 when he was introduced. And his very first delivery. McCarthy having a word with George Dockrell now. You can see the top of your screen there, just to determine what they're going to do with this last delivery then. So Lynch facing, he's on 6, scoring 148 for 7. The final ball then of the Munster Reds innings is a dot ball. So they end on 148 for 7, having been put into bat.
Yep, 148 for 7. The Munster Reds finish up on there. Lynch unable to make contact with that final delivery. He finishes 6 not out. Aaron Cawley with 5 not out, and he runs off the pitch very quickly. He'll have to go get ready to try and restrict this Leinster Lightning team to less than 148. A very good performance from the Lightning in the field, having chosen to bowl first this morning. George Dockrell, I suspect, will be a happy man.
Yeah, 149 needed for victory in this opening game. And here's the Munster Reds card.
Yep, it was a card that potentially just didn't quite get going when it needed to. Murray Cummins again, the star of the show for the Reds. 51 for him from 34 deliveries. Jack Carty, 31 from 35 himself. Tyrone Kane chipped in with 20, but yet again, there was just the Munster Reds. They didn't have guys playing to the final couple of overs. Guys getting out, having made starts, and it just stunts momentum completely. So 148 for 7 they ended up with, and they might feel like they've left maybe 10-15 runs out there with the bat. Very hard to know at this time. First game on this pitch throughout the weekend. And there you can have a look at the Leinster Lightning bowling figures, led by Dave O'Halloran. I thought he was absolutely superb with the ball. 2 for 20 for him from his 4 overs. He bowled in different junctures of the game. A couple of overs in the power play, an over in the middle, and then an over at the death as well. Josh Little confirming his form for the Irish side as well. 4 overs, 2 for 21 for him. Also, probably where they just let it slip a little bit was potentially with the spinners. George Dockrell a little bit expensive, as was JJ Garth in his 1 over. He was a little bit unlucky, meaning that the Munster Reds have finished 148 for 7. I would assume the Leinster Lightning the happier of the two sides, and we're just going to be handing you over to Andrew Leonard and John Kenny pitch side. But before that, we're going to have a bit of action and seeing the great Kevin O'Brien in action.
Some great memories there. Kevin O'Brien, who, if you were listening to us a little short while ago, announced his retirement from the 50 over version of the game in international cricket. We'll continue on in the T20 format, and also hopefully get some test matches in over the next couple of years. And I'm John Kenny with Andrew Leonard here, and we're going to chat a little bit about cricket, Irish cricket, about the interprovincial series. But first we're going to talk about Kevin O'Brien. Sprung on us, really. Were you expecting that? I wasn't.
Yeah, look, I'd be very close to Kev personally. We grew up together, exact same age. I was captain down here at Pembroke, he was captain across the way in Railway. He was always infinitely better cricketer than I was, but he's been toying with it for the last sort of 3 to 6 months. He found, I think, the tour of the UAE quite tough. And look, for me, John, there's sadness today because it's the ending of an era, really, but only in the ODI format, I suppose. The good news is we'll still see him in the T20 stuff. Such an icon of not just Irish cricket, Irish sport. Records caps holder, any kind, 375 appearances for Ireland. We'll hopefully see him go past the 400 over the coming year or two. But I think the decision has been driven by just a lack of enjoyment of the 50 over format. It obviously takes a lot longer. You could see a little bit of the Interpros this season, the 50 over stuff, no crowds, and he loves the big occasion, he loves the big stage. And I think it's a measure of the man. He's a very selfless kind of guy. He stuck his hand up to say, look, I'll go up the top when they couldn't find an opener to go up the top to match Paul Sterling's exploits. That didn't quite work out in the 50 over format, but I think the good thing for me, we're going to see cricket back with a smile on his face. He's in good shape. There's plenty of legs, plenty of life left in the legs, and we'll see him hopefully pongoing the ball and smashing everywhere, but just now in the T20 format only for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but time waits for no man, as we said already. Niall retired a couple of seasons ago. Kevin kept it going, but you know what it's like to travel, to be living in bubbles, and you can live in bubbles even before the COVID situation. I know I've done it myself, travelling, and you're there away from family for 6-7 weeks at a time. You know, that does catch up on you after a while. And the fact that he's actually going to stay for the T20 version of it, perhaps get a few test matches in. He's got a young family. He's also got his own academy as well. It's taking up a lot of time too to concentrate on being an opener on the 50 over version of the game. It's tough going. I mean, you've got a man like Paul Sterling alongside you. You've got to keep with him.
Yeah, you do, and I think it speaks volumes for the difference between the two formats, the two white ball formats, that is. The difference between T20 cricket and ODI cricket is vast, particularly when it's played on the kind of pitches, the tricky pitches that Ireland encountered first out in Abu Dhabi and then in Utrecht. You know, it's not an easy job at the top of the order. In the T20, what we'll see here today, when you're streaming a bit, is Kev will go from ball one. And he'll play his natural game. He'll see ball, hit ball from ball one, and that's when he's probably at his best. But let's just talk a little bit about his record for Ireland in 50 over cricket. 153 ODIs, 3,619 runs at an average of 29, a strike rate of nearly 90. It's the highest strike rate for any active or just recently active Irish player. 114 wickets. It's a part of Kev's game we often forget, mainly earlier in his career. And a couple of innings that will live long in the memory. 142 off 125 against Kenya. That was back in 2006-07, and that was the kind of first time we said, this guy is someone who's going to be with us on the world stage for a long time. And that famous, what is still now a world record, the World Cup record, 113 off 63 balls, that century coming off 50 balls, as Ireland beat England and sprung themselves into the national consciousness. But John, you think about the places he's been with the Irish team, the things he's done, and you think of the times he's been there. As recently as last August against England, beating the world champions on home soil, he was the one who got us over the line. He was the one there in the middle order doing the job, using all his experience. In 2007, 15 years ago, he was there at the end. It was, I think, his 13 not out he made. Mm-hmm. But you remember, he clipped that 1 for 1 to get Trent on strike, and he punched the air. He knew the game was a minimum of a tie, then TJ swung it in to the stand to spark wild scenes. But that was 15 years ago, and remarkably, he's now, with the exception of William Porterfield, he's the last one of that golden generation to still be playing 50 over ODI cricket. Owen Morgan's still playing, but he's playing for England. But isn't that amazing to think of the journey those boys have been on? Boyd Rankin retiring less than a month ago, what a servant he was for the Irish game. Everyone who played in that 2007 World Cup is now gone from the 50 over game, with the exception of William Porterfield, and he's still in good form, 100 last week.
Yeah, and it's also good to go out at the top as well. You know, there's a lot of times that players in all sorts of forms, all codes of sport as well, perhaps cling on just too long as well. And I think perhaps Graham Ford, he's got a dilemma. We did talk about it a lot, about the fact that at the top order of Ireland, it showed against the Dutch in particular how much we miss a top order batsman. They tried to bring Porterfield back as well. That didn't work either. You know, it's a lot of hard thinking to do for Ireland now to get that one man that's going to stick around with the captain and also with Paul Sterling. Now, Kevin stepped away. I don't know if Porty's going to be considered again. They're going to have to look at different options as well. But you can't hang around forever. You've got to let the young lads come through.
No, I get that, but I suppose you've got to temper that and measure that with the importance of these World Cup qualifiers, John. They're critical not just in terms of Ireland getting to India, which right now is looking like a very tall task, 2 wins from 9 matches, but it's avoiding finishing bottom. If you finish 13th in that league, you go off to the qualifier like the other 5 teams finishing 9th to 13th. But this is the key part. If you finish bottom and you finish beneath the side that finishes top of Cricket World Cup League 2, you're relegated. You're gone out of 2.5, 3 years of fixtures against the best sides in the world, and you're down playing against, with no disrespect to them, you're down playing against Namibia, Papua New Guinea, UAE, United States.
But is that a reason to cling on to the tried and trusted? I mean,
well, I think you've got to pick your best team for the job at hand, and what's going to be really interesting is, as you said, who are they going to pick for the South Africa series?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Will it be Porterfield, a brilliant century? But are you going to be picking people for the 50-over format and the importance of those matches off the form from 2 T20 festivals? It's probably all the selectors have to work with.
Sure. Okay, let's move it on then to the IP20s, which were just started this morning. If you just join us, Munster Reds 148 for 7 from their 20 overs. Murray Commons top scoring on 41. Yes, modest enough total, I think, on this track out there. The ball didn't seem to be coming onto the bat. I know Kevy was having a quick word in your ear just to tell you that the ball perhaps wasn't coming on and it's a bit slow out there. So it's not a huge total.
Well, I'm glad Jack Carty is a good pair of hands.
Absolutely,
because I was in deep trouble there otherwise. Thank you, Jack.
Very careful.
I was giving him a bit of stick early on air. I think if he was listening to me, he'd probably let that one come through and give me a clock, to be honest, John.
But I think Leinster are in the box seat here, do you think?
Yeah, look, I think without doubt. There was a little bit of talk during the week, particularly down in the Marduk. I think a few people getting a little giddy with the Northwest Warriors performance. Perhaps the Warriors coming into today as favourites. The power hitting they possess, a lot of men in really good form. The leadership of Andy McBride, and obviously the Lightning have lost quite a few players over the winter. But if we just look at the historic record, John, this is the 9th season of the T20 Festival. In 2017 it was expanded to 4 teams. So we've had 4 editions with 3 teams, 4 editions with 4. Leinster Lightning have won 6 of them. The Northwest Warriors won, the Knights won. Now, I've no doubt it'll be more competitive this year, but I think particularly with the first of these festivals on home soil, you'd at least expect the Lightning to be perhaps at the top of the table at the end of the week. You'd fancy them to chase down this Reds total and start the weekend really well.
We're going to move it on. Obviously, the Knights against the Warriors is the 4 o'clock start today, and we obviously have a busy weekend with Lightning and Munster having 2 more games over the weekend. But we're going to move it to different venues as well. We're going to move to Breedy next week, and then we're going to wait till September before we have the last of the series of the T20 games, which will be played in the Northern Cricket Union. These are festivals of cricket. We're starting to get a crowd back in today. We've got 100 in for the next couple of days. It's slow, it's grinding, but at least we're getting a few cheers. And there was a nice moment there when Balbirnie took that low diving catch, when the Mullingar supporters behind them gave a little roar. He took his cap off, and I just thought, well, you know what's great? We've got some crowd back.
Yeah, no, life is coming back, and look, right the way across the world, not just here in Ireland, it's been an incredibly tough time. Our thoughts still, particularly with everyone in the subcontinent going through such a difficult time with COVID, but there is some normality returning. The vaccines have obviously had a huge impact on that, and you sense people feel freer and more joyous and more happy and safe. Look, you're outdoors here, you've got good facilities in Pembroke, 100 each day. Great to see those tickets sell out. It's not too often you talk about sellouts in Irish cricket. I know it's only 100 people, but hopefully up to Breedy we might even be able to get a few more in, I think. We'll check on those regulations and see what happens. But the biggest thing, John, is the amount of cricket we're seeing in a short space of time. It's what we need. There's been a lot of doom and gloom around Irish cricket over particularly the last few weeks. Let's not detract from it. The Netherlands tour was not a good one.
No.
Losing 2-1.
Very disappointing.
Very disappointing. Losing 20 points to the side that is ranked 13th of those 13th coming in. That's going to be
and still an associate side.
Yeah, still an associate side. Losing to them and missing 5 or 6 players is not a good result and not where Irish cricket needs to be at. So we need smiles back on faces. We need good performances. And what I would love to see, and what we saw from William Porterfield, particularly on the Tuesday, was joy in his cricket and the passion with which he spoke with me after that game. The way he said, I'm going to keep going as long as I feel I've got something to offer and I'm enjoying it. Kevin O'Brien said he wasn't enjoying the 50 over version. So he's made a very selfless decision, and I just want him to go out and enjoy it now and smash the ball everywhere, put some smiles on the faces again.
Okay, let's talk about the internationals then. We just touched on it there. The obviously disappointing results out in the UAE, the 3-game loss to Afghanistan and the 2-1 turnover by the Netherlands. It leaves Ireland in a precarious enough position. And you've got South Africa coming to town. You've got Zimbabwe coming to town as well. We're going to be mix and match and gathering with matches up in Bredy. And we're going to start in Malahide now on the 11th of July with the games against South Africa. 3 very important games. We've got some T20 cricket involved in that too. But first and foremost, those important World Series games. How do you think Ireland will do against the South Africans?
Huge task. Cricket World Cup Super League, their World Cup qualifiers are absolutely critical matches. I think you'd have to look at the South Africa games as probably a bridge too far right now for this Irish side with where they're at and the style of cricket they're playing. But if you apply that logic, they're absolute freebies. If we go in expecting to lose 3-0 and we can somehow pick up even one win, we went to England, went to Southampton against the world champions, probably expecting to lose all 3 matches, but we got 10 points. We won't mind if it comes in the first, second or third match, they all count the same. There's no dead rubbers. There's been some headlines going around about dead rubbers. There isn't any dead rubbers. But the critical games of this entire year are the matches against Zimbabwe. 3 games where they are almost absolutely must win. I'm going to break it down for you this way, John. We win that series 3-0, we should be okay. I don't think we can then finish 13th. They're very unlikely to finish 13th. We win the series 2-1, all possibilities are still open. Even World Cup qualification remains open. If we lose 2-1, we're in deep, deep trouble. We're going to have to go to the West Indies and get some points. If we lose 3-0, it's not all over she wrote yet, but halfway through the series we're going to be in almost the position where we're going to need to win 6 or 7 of our remaining matches.
Well, you know what you're going to get with South Africa, don't you? And they're a top-class team. I know you've got their squad. You've seen that already. It's a very strong, heavy squad, and one of those teams obviously almost guaranteed to qualify for the World Cup. But you never know what you're going to get with Zimbabwe, do you?
No, and look, Zimbabwe have had their political troubles, their challenges with selection. We've just seen Kyle Jarvis retire during the week. He'll be a big, big loss for them. He was very impressive in the T20I series. I think you and I were covering a couple of years ago, pre-COVID. So those Zimbabwe games are hugely important. You've seen the South African side for so many years, so impressive. I know it's the Test cricket they're playing currently in the Caribbean, dominant, big innings win in the first match. Their bowling attack is what puts the fear of God, not just into me as a commentator and a fan, but I suspect the fear of God into the Irish top order. Kagiso Rabada, Norkea, Lungi and Gidi, and then a fantastic spin attack as well. You know, this is a world-class side. We're going to have to play them in our own conditions. I think Philip Frost, the groundsman up there in Malahide, will probably be asked to create good pitches.
Put a few spikes in the ground.
I don't know about that. I think he'll want good pitches. I think it'll give us a better chance if we play on good wickets. I think if we play it on wickets like we saw there in Utrecht, we're going to be in big, big trouble.
That was a terrible pitch. That's the one thing as well to allude to that, is that while Ireland didn't play that well, that pitch wasn't great. Yeah, we do need a good pitch in Malahide, just to make it equal for everybody. I mean, the ball kept so low at times in Utrecht.
And we've got to back ourselves. We've got to say, okay, we are overly reliant on the form of Paul Sterling, but Paul Sterling, Andy Balbirnie, world-class batsmen. We saw Harry Tector, who's made an ODI 50, starting to come into his own. We'll see Lorcan Tucker, he's got to get up the order, get some runs, and who's going to come in to replace Kevin O'Brien? We'll have to see that. But George Dockrell's form
that seems to be key, doesn't it?
Has been pleasing. Who's going to replace him is going to be really important. But what I would love to see is Ireland go out and express themselves, consider that those games are complete freebies. If we can pick up one win from the 3, I know we'd lose the series, you want to win every game, but that would actually be quite a good result.
Yeah, we do have a couple of players as well, injured list. Curtis Camper is the most noticeable one, and a notable one, and Gareth Delaney as well. They've all got injury problems too. Seems to be happening a lot at the early part of the season. Maybe the COVID, a lot of strains, a lot of pulls, players out as well. So if they can get those players back and fit, maybe not for the South African games, but perhaps for Zimbabwe, Ireland would stand a better chance.
Yeah, just give you a quick update on Gareth Delaney as well. Good news there for Irish fans. That exploratory surgery on his knee has resulted in what is a good result. They found something, I think it was a small tear of the meniscus, and that has now been fixed, and he's going to be confident. And John, you can see the umpires just getting ready behind us. I think we might need to be wrapping things up here.
All right, well, I certainly hope you've enjoyed that chat. I certainly did. Thanks to Andrew Leonard. I'm John Kenny. Well, we started with the Munster Reds making 148 for 7 from their 20 overs. What can the Lightning do in response? The 2 umpires heading out to the middle, and we'll be underway very shortly indeed. So let's hand it back to Andrew Blair-White.
And welcome back to Sydney Parade. Thank you very much to both John Kenny and Andrew Leonard. Very good discussion there on Irish cricket, the upcoming fixtures, and of course that massive news of Kevin O'Brien retiring from one-day international cricket with immediate effect. But matters at hand here, and we're going to see Kevin O'Brien come out and open the batting in this T20 format for the Leinster Lightning. Still plenty of runs for Kevin O'Brien to score in the shortest format of the game, and it's of no surprise to me to see Simi Singh at the top of the order. I thought they may well go down that route, and we're going to see the Munster Reds captain Tyrone Kane opening the bowling from the St John's end. And I'm delighted that Andrew Leonard has managed to come from his chat with John Kenny to join me here, and hopefully we'll see Kevin O'Brien show us what he's shown us for the last 15 years.
It'd be very typical now of Kev to just plunder it right from the off, probably free to the weight of that decision. Let's wish him well. A bit of a false start, a leg side down a wide down the leg side. Andrew just getting excited, giddy back from the sprint from my chat with John Kenny. Yeah, just interesting note with Simi opening up the batting. Our co-commentator Alan Lewis throwing around a chaos theory in recent times that perhaps Simi Singh should be the one tried up the top of the order in ODI cricket with Paul Stirling.
Yeah, I certainly have seen and heard Alan Lewis make the point for that, and I'd say in 50 over cricket it wouldn't be where I'd be going, even though he has got plenty of experience up at the top of the order. I've said before, he's opened in this format for YMCA over the last number of years. Obviously had 1 year at Phoenix as well. Scores a lot of runs though, and he can sometimes exploit these first 6 overs very well.
Yeah, I just wonder with O'Brien getting off the mark into the leg side, I just wonder will that century for William Porterfield and now combined with the retirement of Kevin O'Brien really solidify his place for the opening match against South Africa. You'd imagine they probably won't have enough time before the South Africa series unless somebody does something extraordinary over the course of the next 2 weekends to really risk someone else at the top. Porterfield feels like he's still got a lot to give.
Yeah, he's probably the solid option as well, and I think what we need to see from this Irish team is potentially one of these openers given a proper go, given 5-6 games.
Beautifully bowled by Tyrone Kane, finds the outside edge, and good work from Aaron Cawley down at third man. We saw Josh Little miss a similar one in a similar position, but Cawley's made good ground across to his left. Superb from Kane though, and again it's different at the top of the order. Singh doing it for the first time up at this level, finds the outside edge. If there's a second slip in place, that could have been gone.
Yeah, it could have been. Very good bowling from Tyrone Kane. Does get that new ball to move away from the right-handers, and very good work from Aaron Cawley as well. The Munster Reds are going to have to scrap hard for every run in this run chase.
Yeah, they certainly will. O'Brien, be just interesting to see maybe a weight lifted from his mind. I know he spent a lot of time thinking about this, counselling people close to him, his wife Ruth Ann. He's very close friends, of course, with Andy Balbirnie, the Irish captain. I'm sure he'll have spoken to his father, the great Ginger, Niall, his brother. Lovely shot through the offside. Doesn't quite pierce the infield though. Good diving stop. And get through for a single.
Yeah, seriously good work from Seamus Lynch there in at cover. Kevin O'Brien driving on the up there. But as I say, the Munster Reds going to have to feel well here. They're going to have to really try and squeeze as hard as they can. Try to get a few early wickets there to get themselves in the game.
Singh just looking to run that down to third man. Comes off the inside edge. Good tight start from Tyrone Kane. That's what his side needed. 4 for none after the first over.
Very good start from the Munster Reds. Interesting to see who's going to open up from the Wilfield Road end of the ground. It looks like it's going to be Aaron Cawley with the new ball in his hand. Young man, I thought he bowled very well down in the Mardyke on Tuesday, getting back to something approaching rhythm as well, which is always the big key for these big fast bowlers. Try to find that rhythm. Got quite a cocked wrist on release point. Cawley brings it into the right-hander as a result. Very fluid mover.
Yeah, I was having a chat to Stuart Barnes, the new Cricket Ireland bowling coach. He's been in post now about 6 months, and Cawley was bowling at the time we were talking, and I was asking for his thoughts. He was quite impressed by him. I was saying, is it a problem that he only seems to move the ball into the right-handers? And he was saying, absolutely not. He said that as long as he can also get one to hold its line, then that's enough variation. You don't need any more than that. You don't need to be Jimmy Anderson and bowl in-swingers and out-swingers. But perfect demonstration of it there. His stock delivery is very much with the wrist, the right wrist to the left of the ball, forcing it down into the right-handers. Highly effective, though, against left-handers then going away from them.
Yeah, it is definitely, and as you say, I think an awful lot of young bowlers sometimes can overcomplicate things. Right? They see somebody like Jimmy Anderson on the TV, think they're going to have to try and do everything. If you can bowl that ball that comes back in, just that stock delivery that holds its line can be as effective. But Cawley just struggling a little bit here in his first couple of deliveries. Straying down the leg side. This time called a wide by umpire Mark Hawthorne.
He's got one of the great walks of a fast bowler back to his mark. He talk about angry walks. Aaron Cawley, after he's hit for a boundary, bowls a wide like that. Looks a little like a serial killer going back to his mark. Not happy with himself. 2 wides to start with. And he's got the big wicket. Kevin O'Brien's feet don't really go anywhere, and the off stump has gone for a walk. A little fuller than he expected, and the radar was completely off for the first 2 deliveries, but he's followed it up with the big wicket. Kevin O'Brien on a day where he's announced his 50 over retirement, doesn't get forward, can't get the bat down in time. The off stump is castled, he's gone for just 2.
Yeah, brilliant bowling from Aaron Cawley. Sometimes as a batter that can be very hard when you've had a bowler straying down the leg side for a couple of deliveries, then produce a seed as good as that. Cawley, that's exactly what he does. We saw him castle Stephen Downey in a similar way on Tuesday with that one that comes in off that fuller length. With the size of him and the height he's bowling at, that fuller length can sometimes be hard to get forward to, and unfortunately, Cinderella story for Kevin O'Brien today.
No, plenty more cricket over the coming 8 days for him to capitalise upon, but not the day that he will want to have remembered. Andy Balbirnie going to be in at number 3 on his home ground. Quite literally grew up just about 10 doors away at the back gate here at Wilfield Road. And it's the Wilfield Road end that Cawley is operating from. Balbirnie immediately off the mark, working into the leg side. For the Reds to have any chance in this game, they needed early wickets, and they've got the big fish. They've got Kevin O'Brien.
Yeah, and they've started well, and there's plenty of buzz as well, which I love to see. Cawley there even making it a little bit uncomfortable for Balbirnie in his first delivery. Can often be hard when that ball is tucking you up on the hips early doors. Cawley will be straining here, trying to get another early wicket.
Again, just that inconsistency to go from an outstanding world-class delivery to knock over Kevin O'Brien to 3 where he just loses his shape completely and pulls him down the leg side. But rich with potential, Cawley, but by no means the finished article yet.
No, not at all. And that's where rhythm's going to have to come in for Cawley. Been a lack of overs in the last couple of years for him. Just not really completing his action either. And look at the disappointment, the disgust I'd describe it as. Does not look a happy man despite taking that early wicket. Already 3 wides in the over, Andrew. And it's frustrating. As a captain, it's even more frustrating for Tyrone Kane.
It's better, but right into the driving slot for Simi Singh. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the Leinster Lightning approach not just this chase, but in fact the whole T20 season. You wouldn't necessarily have the scale of power hitting that you'd expect, and do have a reasonably long tail. 4 out and out bowlers early today, coming in 8 through 11. A lot going to rest on the bats of, as it so often does for the Leinster Lightning, Andrew Balbirnie and George Dockrell.
It does tend to be the way, and also the fact that Simi Singh's now up the order means you don't have him in that lower middle order which we've become so used to in the 50 over format. A lot more pressure on the likes of Tim Tector as well, Jamie Grassi, who I'm sure we'll see in the middle order, who would be inexperienced at this level. Very good club batters, but need to make that step up.
It's a lovely square drive, but a really good stop. Fionn Hand gets across to his left. I think it just thuds into his chest as much as anything. Body on the line. Saves 3 runs. 2 overs gone. It's 10 for 1.
Yeah, very good start from the Munster Reds. Still, even those wide deliveries from Cawley aside, they'll have been praying for that wicket early of Kevin O'Brien, and they duly got it. A seriously good delivery from Cawley, knocking over O'Brien's off peg. We're going to see change in bowling. Kane not going to allow the Lightning batters just to adjust to anything. We're going to see Josh Manley into the attack for the first time. Probably has been the best bowler and the most consistent bowler for the Reds all season.
Yeah, without doubt. And you'd think that his skills in the 50 over format, the kind of bowler he is, will transfer over really strongly to the T20 version. Bowls a very good Yorker. Nice away shape away from the right-handers. Really has become the leader of their attack this year. It's a beauty to start. Full rhythm, full flow, and the perfect length to Balbirnie, who looks to drive early, gets beaten all ends up.
Yeah, good start from Manley. We've seen him bowl very well, especially in the couple of IP50 games here in Pembroke. So he seems to suit bowling from the St John's end, and sometimes we've seen him with Barry McCarthy, probably most notably bowlers getting into really good rhythm at the St John's end.
Balbirnie just a little down the track, skews off the outside edge down to third man just for a single. Yeah, and the reason for that is that slight elevation you get on probably just back of a length, known as the Pembroke Ridge, a little infamously. We saw earlier in the season when the pitches were a bit less flat, it could almost be dangerous on that kind of back of a length from this end. But if you can get it just out of that driving reach, it could be very difficult for the batsman to play with a sharp steepling bounce. And that's why Singh is going to come down the track. And he's going to turn it into a half volley. Screams of shot Simi from the sideline. The reason for that is we got fans back. Great to hear them in full voice. Glorious shot. And the home fans are cheering.
Yeah, this is trademark Simi Singh, this. A little shuffle and inside out through extra cover. That's become his bread and butter over the last number of years, and it's good to see him being able to execute it at the top of the innings here for the Leinster Lightning.
Back of a length this time. Good change up from Manley, predicting that Singh was going to use his feet again. And yeah, this is the difficulty for someone like Manley, who's a kind of out and out swing bowler. He's not going to rely upon express pace. He does have the tools to go death. He reminds me a little bit of someone like a Matthew Hoggard from England, the way he shapes the ball away. But it can be difficult in the shortest format when the batsmen are going at you from the off and trying to counteract that swing by getting down the track. Heavy ball is the shout from the sideline. They're pleased with the bouncer being put up, Simi Singh.
Yeah, it's a good option from Manley. And Singh not timing that out to Michael Frost at mid-on, who I'm sure we'll see later on in this innings with his left arm off. Breaks into the side for the first time this year.
Good shape away from Simi Singh. That is exactly his natural delivery. So 3 overs gone. It's 15 for 1.
Yeah, Manley's done well there, having been hit for a boundary halfway through that over. 3 dots. Get back into it, and you just see the run rate required already gone from just under 7.5 to start off with, up to 7.88. And as you said, Andrew, probably a little bit of a longer tail than used to. They opted to leave out Jack Tector out of the 13 this weekend. They've gone for a few more bowling options as a result. Rory Anders not getting a game today, but as a result, do you think they're maybe a little bit too reliant on a few batters?
Yeah, quite possibly. I think that's what the Leinster Lightning have always done. They just back their players, back their abilities. A lot is going to rest on the shoulders of both these two at the crease, but then we'll probably see George Dockrell at 4. I'd imagine Jamie Grassi at 5. Tim Tector at 6, very untested this level. Grassi, of course, played for the Reds, making his debut all the way back in 2017. But he's been in good, consistent run-scoring form in the 50-over format. 82, 34, 21 and 21. Singh goes over the offside this time again, dancing down the track. That's his real go-to shot. Good work in the deep. The standard of fielding's been good so far this morning. Hopefully we'll see that throughout the entire festival. 2 more to the total. Yeah, Grassi certainly has the potential to be a power hitter. It'll be interesting to see how he goes in at 5. And George Dockrell's added power to his game at number 4 as well. Good work in the deep.
Yeah, and obviously you've also got Lorcan Tucker in that middle order as well, who I'm sure will come in somewhere there at 5 or 6.
Yeah, good point actually. Be interesting to see will he come in ahead of George Dockrell at 4, or will the gluttony of runs that Dockrell has been scoring, will that mean the captain will elevate himself up?
Yeah, very hard to know. You'd assume they'd be 4 and 5 between the two of them, but then you've got Grassi and Tim Tector acting as your power hitters, and they both well and truly have the ability, but they are inexperienced at this level.
Singh down the track again. That's a glorious shot. Almost ended up yorking himself, but gets enough bat to pierce the infield. Another boundary to Singh.
Yeah, it's good batting from Simi Singh. He does love that sort of shot. A few steps down the pitch, well outside his leg stump and accessing over the offside, and you'd have to wonder whether they might think of putting somebody out on that cover boundary and maybe bringing in the man at square leg. He wouldn't be as known for pulling and hooking the ball.
I think some of the crowd might be watching on the stream as well, Andrew. Can't be mentioning them by name though. They'll get awfully demanding then. But great to have crowds back along the wall. Great to have fans in, and you think of this ground at Pembroke, it's so well suited to occasions like this. You think back to that famous summer smash game, Middlesex coming over to play Leinster, the match that kind of ignited Gareth Delaney's charge into Irish colours. Paul Sterling was playing for Middlesex that night. The kind of fixture you'd like to see again in the future when the COVID sort of restrictions end. Obviously wouldn't make it possible currently.
Yeah, absolutely. It was one of the best nights in Leinster cricket history, I reckon.
Just half a misfield at mid-off. I think that's Michael Frost into the side today, left arm spinner from Malahide. Ted Williamson giving him a big mention just as I was talking to him before the interval there. A little too predictable from Singh, dancing down the track every single delivery.
Yeah, but he profited with another boundary in that over. Ends the 4th. The Lightning 23 for 1. Certainly hasn't been a blistering start.
No, it feels very reminiscent of the Munster start actually. Aerial route not taken a huge amount. Obviously the contrast is the early wicket for the Leinster Lightning, meaning it's understandable they haven't gone hammer and tongs right from the off. But certainly the Munster Reds took a little while to get going. The Leinster Lightning have as well. That required run rate. Keep an eye on that at the bottom of your screen. 7.88 at the moment. You never want that getting up in excess of 8 or 9. Things start to becoming really difficult when you get towards double figures.
Yeah, exactly right. And I think they'll have an eye on that. It's just looked at the pitch. Overall, there hasn't been many gremlins or any gremlins in it whatsoever, but it's just seemed a little bit tricky to time the ball. We haven't seen maybe quite as fluent shot making as I thought we would.
That's a glorious shot. Probably the shot of the innings so far from the Leinster Lightning. Just steered off the back foot. It's a packed offside field. Tyrone Kane is as good a fielder as you'll see on the island of Ireland, and he's dived full length to his right. Couldn't get anything on it for the Singh.
Excellent from Simi Singh, this just back of a length. Doesn't come down the track this time. Tyrone Kane's in quite tight at backward point there, trying to cut off that angle, but as a result it comes to him very quickly there. Nothing he could have done. Another boundary for Singh.
Down the track again, this time off the outside edge, but the third man had just come a little wider, literally just that delivery, because of that shot off the back foot. So Singh adventurous. Back-to-back boundaries.
Yeah, yet again using his feet, trying to go inside out over extra cover. Big thick edge this time around. But another boundary, and he's profiting up the order here. Singh onto 21 and on a roll.
Looked for the Yorker this time, Manley. Just worked into the leg side. That's where there's the protection. 2 fielders allowed outside the circle at this stage of the match. And the power play for the first 6 overs. That's Fionn Hand out there at deep square leg, and third man outside the circle as well. Good to see Kane continuing with the slip in place, though. That movement that Manley is getting could find an edge.
Yeah, it's an absolute pain as well. If one was to be edged through that region, it would be 4 runs as well. Good to see the attacking option.
That's a beauty. Done Balbirnie for the second time, all ends up. The first one was a much fuller length, and it beat him with movement and shape. This time it beats him with bounce. Well back of a length, a short length, and Balbirnie replaying the shot, but he's been done there by 2 good deliveries by Manley.
Yeah, and that's that sort of uncomfortable length when you're batting from this end at Pembroke, that it can just fly a little bit off that type of length, and Manley exploiting that ridge perfectly.
Tyrone Kane, as you said, Andrew, very close in there, backward point, makes a good tumbling stop. Balbirnie just taking a little while to get going, as he does sometimes. 5 overs gone. It's 32 for 1.
Simi Singh, 22 not out off 17 balls. Few very good shots in there. I'm going to see a change of bowling from the Willfield Road end. We're going to see Fionn Hand come into the attack. Bowls fast medium. He's coming in off a much shorter run up than he used to. He used to have a very long run up, Fionn Hand. He seems to have taken a few yards off it, and as a result seems to be bowling a little bit more consistently, and that's exactly what he needs to work on. He's got all the tools to be an excellent fast bowler. Just needs to work a little bit, not dissimilarly to Aaron Cawley, at just nailing that stock delivery.
I think he still sees himself as an out-and-out express fast bowler, but definitely a different approach this year. Singh again through the offside, really stylishly this time. Loves dancing down the track. Continues to prosper with boundaries through the offside.
I just don't really see where they're going with this here. The Reds with Singh looking to access that offside, that you wouldn't put your cover man out, bring square leg into the ring, especially if you're going to bowl that 5th stump line.
In fairness, a really good piece of batting. That one's been hit on the up. Not a bad delivery by any stretch. It's probably exactly where Fionn Hand was looking to start his spell. Goes fuller this time, and Singh has been fortunate quite a few times as well. This one flying off the outside edge, no slip in place. So the boundaries continue to flow, and the Leinster Lightning starting to get on top.
Yeah, he's thrown the kitchen sink of this one. Simi Singh, he's well outside the leg stump, very fortuitous, going through around that 2nd, 3rd slip region. Flies away.
Well fielded, sir, as well. Just looks like he's come in to watch his afternoon of cricket has brought his own chair, picked it up one-handed nonchalantly and tossed it over to the Cricket Leinster team. That change in field has come about. Deep square legs come up and deep extra cover out, so the two fielders in the deep now in the offside. That's where Singh is going to go, and probably the most spectacular shot of the day. Down the track, Simmy is the chant from the crowd over to our left, right into the hitting arc. Fionn Hand over pitching, Singh dances down. Look at this one, Andrew Blair White.
This is Simmy Singh at his vintage best. He has hit that like a tracer bullet down towards the pavilion. He moves on to 34 and he's really making things happen now for the Lightning. They're above that required run rate quite considerably now after a slightly slow start and are in the ascendancy.
This time through the leg side for the first time. Fionn Hand has been taken to the cleaners here. 4 consecutive boundaries. The second one wasn't in any way convincing, nor was that one really, to be honest. A bit of a hoik over the leg side, but 16 runs from 4 balls.
Yeah, it's good batting though from Simmy Singh. Wasn't off the middle of the bat by any means, but it's a risk-free shot with nobody back on the leg side. He's actually shuffled across his stumps this time round. Keeps hitting at different points of contact.
And that's the best shot of the lot. The first 6 of the innings soars over Ger's head as the cameraman. I think he thought he was in trouble. Don't worry, Ger, it's gone miles over your head. All the way out. Kevin Gallagher tidies up, the match referee today. Fionn Hand is being demolished here, and he's being demolished by the bat of Simmy Singh.
Absolutely superb from Simmy Singh. It's just so good to watch when he gets going like this. 4, 4, 4, 4, 6.
I think you've won too many 4 there.
Did I go one too many?
Yeah, you did just one too many. We've still got one ball to come. Yeah, 4, 4, 4, 6. 4 4s and a 6, so already 22 runs from the over. What a catch! Unbelievable from Fionn Hand, and well, might he celebrate, because we've seen the catch of the season taken by Fionn Hand. He's been smashed for 22 and 5 balls. He's been smashed down the ground again. Look at this. Clings on one-handed, full stretch to his right. As good a catch as you'll ever see.
What a catch from Fionn Hand, and I'd say there was a bit of anger in that celebration as well. He's chucked the ball miles in the air, and rightly he should, because that is potentially game-changing moment. Simmy Singh, what a knock, 44 for him, but he departs to, as you said, Andrew, the catch of the season, and we've seen some catches this year.
Yeah, that for me going past Catherine Bryce's, or maybe Laura Maritz's up in the Ireland Women versus Scotland Women series. Unbelievable, and the reason it was so unbelievable, the power with which that was hit. It was right into the hitting arc, and Singh had already been taking hand to the cleaners. You have just a split second off your own bowling, but you even less of a split second as a fast bowler when the batsman's coming down the crease towards you. He would have literally had milliseconds there. Complete instinct from Fionn Hand, going full length to his right, clinging on just inches from the turf. That is fantastic. We wanted to see big hitting, we wanted to see great wickets. We've seen it all in that over. 22 runs, but crucially for the Reds, they have their man. Simmy Singh's gone for 44.
They do, and whether that can just change the momentum of this game, be hard to know. The Lightning finishing off their 6-over power play, 54 for 2. They're well ahead of the rate now, but can the Reds, if they can snare another wicket or two in the next few overs, they still have a big chance in this game. And we're going to see Michael Frost come into the attack from the St John's end. Slow left arm. Personally, I haven't seen too much of Michael Frost myself, but all the reports are very good. I'll be looking for a tight start here against Balbirnie and Dockrell. A baptism of fire for Frost.
Yeah, young bowler from the Malahide Cricket Club is going to be welcomed to interprovincial cricket with a boundary through the offside. Probably a little bit of nerves, and he just drags his first delivery down. And for a player as good as Balbirnie, particularly a player of spin as good as Balbirnie, that's far too easy.
Yeah, cut away, backward a point there, and Seamus Lynch a despairing dive on the cover boundary. They could do with a bit of pressure here, the Reds.
Yeah, good comeback from Frost. The Malahide Club in North Dublin, where we'll see South Africa play just a couple of weeks' time, the 11th of July. Balbirnie loves a sweep, just veering down the leg side. Paul Reynolds signals that one as wide. One of 3 debutants today, Michael Frost. David Halloran, also a debutant. You can't think of him as a debutant because he's been around the whole season, but his first T20 debut, and also the same for Seamus Lynch today. The status and the profile of the series just continues to grow and grow. So exciting for these young cricketers. Live streamed around the world, live scored on Cricinfo.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's brilliant, and the more and more it can grow, the better it is for Irish cricket. Great numbers watching on the stream as well. It's a pressure environment. You're coming into your first game, you're bowling to Andy Balbirnie and George Dockrell. Doesn't get much harder than that.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me here with this George Dockrell innings, we all know just how prolific he has been in 50 over cricket in recent years, so much so that he's forced his way back into the Irish side as a batsman, and a batsman only really. The interesting thing for me will be, can he translate that form to the different format? We saw Murray Cummins do it, perhaps in a slightly unconventional way at points. He didn't look comfortable doing it at times. Some good shots down the ground off the spin though in particular. It'll be the same for Dockrell, probably one of the most technically correct batsmen going around. Can he innovate enough in the T20 to get that strike rate up to where it needs to be, 140 plus?
That's a sign of what you were just saying there, Andrew. A little bit ungainly from Dockrell there, trying to power that one over extra cover.
And it goes to show, Andrew, just what 2 dots can do. 2 dots bring a bit of pressure, big shot comes. So the end of the 7th over, it is 61 for 2.
Game 1 in a 6-game T20 festival this weekend. Remember, 2 games today, Saturday and Sunday. Requiring 149 for victory.
So at the end of the 7th over, Andrew Blair-White will leave me, John Kenny will join me. A few nice comments come in on social media about the chat we had, a really good addition. One person saying, and a tweet here from the Night Watchman, great chat between John Kenny and Cricket Badge there. Brilliant breakdown of everything going on in Irish cricket at the moment. Any chance you could elaborate on the Gareth Delaney injury you were talking about before we had to wrap up? Yes, I can. I spoke to him there during the break. It was exploratory surgery on his right knee because he didn't actually know what exactly was wrong with it. As Tyrone Kane comes back into the attack and strays down the leg side for a wide, and that exploratory surgery has found something, might get the technical term wrong, please forgive me if I do. I think it was a slight tear of the meniscus, which is now being
Spot on.
fixed, and the expected recovery time, we'll leave that for Mark Rouse, the head of Irish Cricket Ireland Physiotherapy, to provide, but I believe somewhere in the region of the 3 to 4 month window. So whether he'd be back in time for the T20 World Cup, hard to say.
Sitting chatting about cricket for 20 minutes, not a lot of hardship. Not a lot of hardship.
Well, with sunshine as well, John.
Sunshine as well.
It was blowing a gale and a bit of rain, maybe a little more. But
no, this isn't hardship, sitting here in the sunshine.
It's glorious. Do get your comments and questions into us. I'm at Cricket Badge. John Kenny's at John Kenny Media. Or get on to follow Cricket Ireland on Twitter, Instagram or Facebook. Just search for them on there, you'll find them.
Well, you were lucky enough, and I was standing not so far away from you, watching that blitz from Simi Singh scoring 22 runs, and then that absolutely extraordinary catch low down from Fionn Hand to get rid of him at the last ball, when it looked like Singh was pumping him down the ground again. It was absolutely astonishing, just absolutely astonishing.
It's already up on social media. Cricket Ireland already have it out. I suspect this one could go viral, and the tweet is perfect. Fionn Hand, what a catch.
Fionn Hand's hand.
I also enjoy the few fire emojis there. That's exactly what it was.
Absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant cricket all around. Singh was doing his usual, down the ground, cross bat, whacking them to all parts of the ground. 6 straight down the ground as well. It looks like he was going to pump another 4 down the ground as well and take the total to 26. And lo and behold, out of nowhere, hand sticks out of hand and grabs it. Wonderful stuff.
I missed that one. I should have gone with the hand sticks out. I was too excited, John. What a catch it was.
Oops. That's a bit of a false stroke, trying to work it into the leg side, and they can't prevent it from going over the boundary rope. And the boys from Mullingar celebrate away to our left hand side, and it's 4 to the total and 4 to Andy Balbirnie, but not his best stroke ever.
Beautiful bowling. Not for the first time today. Tyrone Kane showing his superb skills with the ball, completely doing for the Irish captain. Squared him up, comes off an outside edge. T20 cricket in a nutshell though. Beautiful piece of bowling, doesn't necessarily always get rewarded, runs away for 4.
Nicely done by Balbirnie. It's actually a pleasure to watch Balbirnie close up batting. He seems to have so much time and great presence of mind about where to put the ball. Now obviously the previous one was a false stroke, just tried to work it into the leg side and a little fortuitous to get a big outside edge, but you could just see it there, just worked it gently into the offside, strode through for a single, and he's on top of his game. He's a world-class batsman, there's no doubt about it. Himself and Paul Stern are the top 2 in the Irish lineup at the moment, the Irish captain. Obviously very disappointed with the recent results, which we chatted about at the break. And I got to know him really back in the 2015 World Cup when he was introduced to the side for the first time, really. And that win over Zimbabwe in Canberra. That's the end of the over, by the way. It's 69 for 2 at the end of 8. A very affable kind of lad. When I chatted to him, he took his time to come and talk to us in the RT commentary box as well. Walked a long way around actually to get up to the commentary box at the time, and I thought, this is a guy who's a future Irish captain, the way he's talking, and he certainly has done his talking with the bat out there as well too, but produced a wonderful catch as well in the Munster Red innings. He's a natural leader.
Small correction on Gareth Delaney, his left knee, not his right knee. I should have remembered that. And certainly some messages coming in there to me on social as well. Likely 3 or 4 months for a meniscus. Alan Eastwood telling me that he's done that injury himself. He was back bowling after 3 weeks, so best wishes to Gareth.
Frost continues. Dockrell picks up a single. A very strong batting lineup for the Leinster Lightning. They're way ahead of the rate at the moment, 69 for 2. And that Simi Singh blitz, it really set on a really nice platform. Kevin O'Brien have announced his retirement from the 50 over version of the game internationally, as was out for 2. Emotional day for him. To get to chance to him later on. Yes, no there. Balbirnie skipped down the track for a second, but Dockrell pushed him back. His call, ball behind. He was running to the danger end if it was going to happen. 70 for 2. Might be a couple here.
Yeah, Balbirnie loves a sweep shot. We've seen him devastate some of the best spin bowlers in the world with that famously Rashid Khan out in India in that series where Balbirnie took his game to the next level. Just gets it fine of forward, fine leg for 2. He's a good young bowler, this Frost. Doesn't give an awful lot of flight to deal with, apart from that slight drag down the first delivery where there's a few nerves. He's into his work well here.
It's in the air. There's nobody out there. Going to trundle away to the boundary for 4. And moving inexorably towards this total. 148 needed for victory. And
John, this is a shot of real class. You don't do this as a batsman. You don't hit inside out over extra cover without being right up at the very top of your game. That ball is going to be turning away from the bat. Balbirnie gone inside out, elevated it for 4.
And the next ball he gets him. And how cricket can turn so quickly. A beautiful shot through extra cover. The previous delivery. And now Frost gets the big one. Balbirnie goes for 20. And Munster, well, they've got a 3rd wicket. And with the likes of Singh gone, O'Brien gone, and now the Irish captain gone, Munster might be sniffing something here. 76 for 3 at the end of 9.
I think it was an arm ball that's done him. It's just come in with the arm, come in with the angle, delivered from right wide of the crease from Frost. And even if it wasn't an arm ball, it's just skidded on. And it's cannoned into the top of off stump. Whatever kind of a bowler you are, leg spinner, off spinner, seamer, slow bowler, doesn't matter. Target the top of off, you won't go too far wrong. That's exactly what he's done. And it's accounted on his list, or his T20 debut today. His first appearance in the interprovincials, he's accounted for the Irish captain. What a moment for the young man. Brilliant from Frost. That brings the Reds back into it. Balbirnie falls for 20. He's off 17. Delivery is going to bring Lorcan Tucker to the crease in at number 5.
Frost is an Irish A international, and he holds a an Irish passport, a South African-born 20-year-old. He'd be delighted with that. That's a big scout for him and for the Munster Reds. Lorcan Tucker now out in the middle. Munster Lightning wicket-keeper, Irish wicket-keeper as well. Just shows you the depth of talent that the Leinster Lightning have, and the injury problems the Munster have suffered this year with Curtis Camphor and the aforementioned Gareth Delaney. Jack Carthy worked into the leg side, shy of the stumps, but Dockrell's home safely. Nice easy single just off his hips.
I think big credit has to go to the Munster Reds this season. They've been without what would arguably be two of their best players, both of whom are all-rounders. Curtis Camphor and Gareth Delaney, both experienced Irish internationals at this stage already, even though they're very young in their careers, and they would have added a huge amount to this Red side. And Delaney, I think, played one if not two matches before going away for that surgery, but missing them, they've been doing really well to be so competitive so far this year. Could well have triumphed over the Northwest Warriors on that historic day on Tuesday during the week. Let's see how they go on the T20 now.
McCarthy will be looking for wickets here. In his previous 4 games, he's only taken the one. Big, tall man. Played for the Munster Reds for the first time in the 2018 Interpro Series. Obviously, at that stage, the Munster Reds were a T20 side only. They've been co-opted into the IP20 this year, and a welcome addition as well. And a spread of players across all 4 provincial teams, of course, as well as obviously heighten the involvement of the players in the IP20. Cries of catch it there as Dockrell lofted one straight down to the man at mid-on. Got away with one there, actually.
Yeah, he did. Just deceived by what looked like I think it was a slower ball, and that's what Dockrell's indicating there to Tucker. So he was through his shot early, almost ended up scooping what was a low full toss back to the bowler, but it went over his head. Dockrell survives. He's just taking a bit of time to get going as an innings.
Well, that's the way to get going, isn't it? 6 into the tents, which house the 4 squads, and that's another maximum. And a nice shot from Tucker as well, just eased it for the maximum.
Yeah, just his second delivery. We've seen this from Singh coming down the track. Tucker does the exact same, just half a step, but the key thing is, John, when you come down the track you still need to stay balanced. Look at the head position on the contact of that delivery, eyes staying level, holding his shape perfectly, and the way you described it's perfect. It was just a little clip, eased it over the rope all the way for 6, long on, now goes back.
That's nicely done as well from Tucker. Just rolled it off the face of the bat. Turns looking for a second, but good fielding down there by Matt Ford. Prevents the second run.
It's big time in his Irish career, Lorcan Tucker. He's the incumbent with the gloves now. There isn't really a second string at the moment. Stephen Doheny and Neil Rock playing out for that role. But he's going to be given a long run in this Irish side, and now with the retirement of Kevin O'Brien from the ODI game, his runs are going to be more and more important in the middle order. Big mix up here, John.
Oh, the throw wasn't good enough though, unfortunately. It was a hard throw from Fionn Hand coming in from the boundary, but he just couldn't get it over the top of the stumps, and that allowed Tucker to get back. It was a yes-no moment really, but a good throw would have gotten rid of him. But unfortunately, from Munster's point of view, the wicketkeeper just had to stretch for that, and Tucker was able to dive in and make his ground.
Yeah, the moment it left the bat, John, I thought regulation 1. Wasn't even considering the concept of there being a 2, but Lorcan Tucker was adamant. George Dockrell just sat on his bat at the non-striker's end. He wanted to keep the strike, get to the halfway stage of the chase. Leinster in control, needing 62 more to win off 60 deliveries. It's 87 for 3.
Yeah, and plenty of wickets in hand as well. Guys like Tim Tector, JJ Garth to come. Barry McCarthy, we know, can swash them around the ground too. Grassy. O'Halloran bowled well today. Might be eyeing a man of the match performance if he gets a few runs. That's a little later on.
Yeah, we'd have to hope that from a Leinster Lightning point of view, you wouldn't be seeing O'Halloran with the bat all the way down at 11, most likely. But that Leinster tail just a little longer than it might be usually. It'll be interesting to see, will it be JJ Garth at 8, maybe Barry McCarthy at 9, Josh Little at 10.
Yeah, Rory Anders, the player left out today. Probably get a run tomorrow. Don't forget our second match, the Knights against the Warriors at 4 o'clock. At the conclusion of this game, we will have a little break for a little refreshment before we get into the second game of 6 this weekend. Dockrell down the track, slips through backward point's hands. An easy single for him.
Yeah, a little sloppy from Murray Cummins at backward point, gives away a single. Going to be really interested to see how the Northwest Warriors go this week, John, and next week indeed on home soil up in Breedy. They were impressive down in the Mardyke. They've stayed here in Dublin. Oof. And the reason they've stayed in Dublin, John, is to give them the best possible preparation. You talk about the distances travelled to get from Derry all the way down to Cork, to have then gone back to Derry, to then return to Dublin just a day later. It would have been a bit much. So training in Rush Cricket Club, Rush were very kind to give them the facilities, and they've had a bit of time in camp together.
Yeah, Tucker got lucky there. They were able to scramble through for a single. Well ahead of the right, as you say. 57 to win now. And what are we? 10.5 overs down. Frost continuing from the St. John's end to Tucker, who took some away on the leg side. Might come back for the second here. Tucker fancies this, yeah. That's good running. And Dockrell called him through quickly as well to end the 11th over, and 94 for 3.
Yeah, 7 runs coming from that Frost over. First time I've seen him live in person. Left arm spinner. Impressive start to his interprovincial career. You can see why Ted Williamson was so keen to get him involved. Munster Reds bowling, definitely the weaker of their suits. You think about their batting that they have. Good options all the way through. But look at the bowling. 6 bowlers used, and despite that outstanding catch, the big concern for Tyrone Kane will be 22 runs from that Fionn handover. He's going to have to rely upon himself. His 2 seam bowlers, Cawley and Manley, but the reason he's brought Carty in is that 6th bowler is to cover up for Hand, who's been expensive.
Dockrell up on his toes, trying to swipe that into the leg side. Couldn't make contact with it. Yeah, the Northwest Warriors, no Conor Alford in their lineup. He's sidelined through injury. Stuart Thompson, obviously unavailable as well. And sadly, no Paul Sterling today. We will see him though in Breedy next week, I believe. And at the moment he's fulfilling a 5-match contract with Middlesex in the Blast. That's nicely done by Dockrell. Just whips that into the leg side. Should come back for a second here. Nicely done. George Dockrell's batting certainly has improved, while sadly his bowling has disimproved. And we saw he was expensive in his spell earlier on today, but with the bat he's coming on leaps and bounds. He's changed things for himself, obviously becoming more of a batsman, more of an all-rounder. Lost his contract with the Irish team and now working his way back into it as part of the team against the Netherlands, part of the squad against the Netherlands. Could stop that. Just hit with power, and Josh Manley cuts it off.
The second coming of George Dockrell as an international cricketer, no doubt about that. He's going to be playing for Ireland in the future primarily as a batsman. And you saw that up the order for Ireland. Didn't get a huge weight of runs in the Netherlands, but looked very accomplished, looked very correct.
Again, that windmill or helicopter kind of shot. Dockrell comes back for the second. He's got long legs as well, and he gets and makes his ground quite easily in the end. So even that the ball was actually in the hands of Seamus Lynch down there in the leg side boundary, and he was going to make it comfortably back for the second run.
It was the fumble that allowed him to get back. Just not cleanly picked up by Seamus Lynch out at deep backward square leg, and Dockrell fit enough and strong enough to get back for 2 quickly.
And that's going to go all the way for 4. That's a diving attempt, but it's all I can do is push that over the boundary ropes. Aaron Cawley, Did himself a little bit of damage as well there too, actually diving on the boundary ropes but couldn't prevent the 4 runs.
Yeah, he was almost diving from behind the rope, John. It was a bizarre one because the ball always looked like it was going for 4, and he certainly went aerial. Wholehearted effort from the big Munster man. Just a little bit stiff coming up. Not what you want to see from a fast bowler who's going to have to likely play 6 games in the space of 9 days.
And he's been swapped now with Tyrone Kane, who's taken his position. They've put Cawley in the ring. It's 100 up after that boundary. Lovely shot. Lovely shot. 2 consecutive 4s for George Dockrell. That was the better of the 2. Just whacked away into the leg side. You weren't going to cut that one off.
George Dockrell has been batting on a different planet this year, John. In interprovincial cricket, his record is nothing short of phenomenal. Bradman-esque has been the reference to it. Let me just read you some of his numbers this year. 5 consecutive scores of 50 plus, including a century. The leading run scorer in the tournament this season by a distance in the IP20. And the change of format doesn't seem to have affected him. 22 off 20, he's off to a flyer.
Yeah, 106 for 3 at the end of 12. And one thing the Lightning have done is that they have saw themselves through to this total in a better fashion, a better manner than Munster did. They always looked like they were struggling as a bump ball. Always looked like they were struggling to get to their total. Murray Commons obviously made his half century as well, but they seem to get stuck in their innings where Leinster are playing a much more freedom. Obviously they're chasing down a target, but they're keeping well ahead of that target with some considerable ease. 42 to win now. Just 46 balls remaining. Ooh, tries to catch it. That was hit very hard back at Frost. He can't prevent it from going all the way to the boundary for 4. That would have been a heck of a catch if that had stuck.
Well, he's hit it that hard, John, that it's cannoned off his hand, nearly cannoned into Paul Reynolds and gone all the way into the side screen. Dockrell has added such power to his game. You could see Paul Reynolds thought he was in danger for just a moment. He definitely got a hand on it. I don't think you can describe that as a lost or a dropped catch by any stretch.
Oh no, not suggesting that it was, but he did get his hand to it, and that's going to be another 4 as well into the offside. Nice shot from Dockrell. He's accelerating here, and we move past Nelson. 115 for 3.
Doesn't matter the format at the moment for George Dockrell. If he's in the blue of Leinster, he cannot stop getting runs. That's a really pleasing shot. In full control, taking the aerial route through the offside. He's so much stronger than he's ever been at any point during his cricketing career. Really imposing presence. He's always been tall, but he was quite lanky and slim in the early stages of his Irish career. He's put on a lot of muscle. And that's hugely aided his batting, John.
That's a good call from Tucker. It was coming to the danger end. It was behind Dockrell. He saw that the run was on. And Munster, they're leaking runs. 33 to win now, just 43. And Tucker joins in the fun. And this is good, isn't it? Tucker taking the singles. George at the other end, obviously pumping the 4s. Well, that's the end of the over, and Tucker will retain the strike. 13 down, 117 for 3.
Making it look like a cakewalk, John. I'm going to leave you with Andrew Blair-White for the remainder of this innings. We might chat again during the second match of the day, John.
Oh, I presume we will. Thanks, Andrew. And the other Andrew White, joins me now. Tucker on 30, Tucker on 14, 32 to win off 42 deliveries and 7 wickets in hand. It's all going very nicely for the Leinster Lightning.
Yeah, it is. They've taken charge in this run chase in the past couple of overs. A few flurry of boundaries from George Dockrell's bat. It's gone about really breaking the back of this run chase. You'd say it's a forlorn hope for the Reds from here.
Cawley's back, and from the commentary box end, he got the prize wicket of Kevin O'Brien early on for 2.
Yeah, you feel this is a last roll of the dice from Tyrone Kane, bringing Cawley back into the attack. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw Josh Manley from the St. John's end come back into the attack as well to try and see whether they can get something. If they got 1 wicket, bring a new batter to the crease, you might see just something happen.
Yeah, one can quickly become two, as we know. Not the way Dockrell's batting at the moment. Doesn't seem to be any problem for him out there, the Leinster Lightning captain. And they're keeping it ticking over nicely, aren't they? Ones and twos here and there, piercing the fields when they need to, just finding the gaps nicely.
Yeah, exactly, and just keeping that run rate, which is now well and truly in check. Just 30 required of 40 deliveries. And unfortunately the Reds are unable at the moment to build up any sort of pressure through dots, as you say, John. Really good rotating of strike. Tucker's been excellent at that since he's come in. He's been very proactive at the crease.
There were too many dot balls in the Munster innings, though, wasn't there? That was their problem. They didn't get up to that 170 mark by pushing the ones, turning perhaps ones into twos. And there was too many dot balls in their innings. This is really good cricket. It's well bowled, but just dropped in front of him. Off they took, the two of them together. Good running.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it's a realisation as well that Aaron Coley's bowling quite well, but then how are we going to get 6 runs from an over at minimum? And then if he does bowl one bad ball and we hit that away for a boundary, it's suddenly 8-9 runs and over.
That's in the air. Cries to catch it. Oh, it's a good attempt by Josh Manley. Well, they're going to run through for 2. That would be a heck of a catch if he caught that diving away to his left-hand side. Yeah, really good effort. Last ball then in the 14th over. And a half stop by Seamus Lynch, but they'll trot through for a second. And runs came freely in that over. And that ends it. 125 for 3, needing 148 for victory. Lightning went on top.
Yeah, very much so. And as you say, John, I think it's just one of those where the Reds have probably left 25 runs out there with the bat. 148 always looked a little bit below par, I thought. But we were on commentary at the back end of that Munster Reds innings. There were so many dot balls, and there was the odd boundary here and there, which obviously takes a little bit of pressure off. But you're having overs that were going for 6 or 7, which included a boundary 4, and a 2 and a single and 3 dots. And 3 dots, especially in the back end of an innings, is just unacceptable really at this level, and it's something that they're seriously going to have to work on in the next few games, both this weekend and next weekend.
Yeah, it elevates the bowling side as well too, is that if they're bowling dot balls, it puts pressure on the batters, and it just builds pressure all the way through, and Leinster built that pressure especially towards the back end of the innings when Commons departed. Just too many dots in the scorebook. 125 for 3 then as we start this 15th over. It's going to be Josh Manley, as you suggested. Lisburn Seamer on loan at Munster Reds from the Northern Knights. He's going to bowl then from the St. John's end. Oh, that's a nice greeting, isn't it? Welcome back to the stage, my son, as George Dockrell puts the maker's name through that ball, puts it over the bowler's head for another boundary.
This is as good a shot as you're going to see from George Dockrell. Manley maybe slightly over pitching, but just driven on the up. And as you say, John, greeting Manley unceremoniously back into the attack.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad ball, but what a dispatch it was from Dockrell. There's 4. They just had to get bat on ball there. That was down the leg side. And they're quickly accumulating these runs, and winning total is getting ever closer. Just 16 needed now.
Yeah, lovely shot this from George Dockrell. Manley overcompensating, digging one in on the hips, and that's a lovely leg glance. And here at Pembroke, that's always going to run away. This outfield's been quick all day so far, and I sense George Dockrell wants this game done in a hurry.
Down the track he comes and whacks it over his head again. That's a beautiful shot, and that's gone all the way. And nothing that they could do there. Jack Carthy down there sees that ball sail over his head. So what do you got? 2 4s and a 6. That's 14 runs in the last 3 deliveries. And they're on to 139. As you say, he wants to get them done and dusted quickly.
Yeah, that is destructive hitting from George Dockrell. He's flat batted that back over Manley's head for a big 6. We saw him do this when he scored 100 in the IP20 against the Northern Knights on this ground earlier this season, where he suddenly started taking apart the bowling, especially from this end. He's doing it again here.
Just 8 runs needed now. And Leinster will have a couple of points in the bag at the end of this. We're not going to lose it from here. We'll also have to pick our player of the game. I've gone with my choice. It'll be up to the 2 Andrews then to make their decision. That's another 4. Yeah, he won't cut that off. Nice shot, Lorcan Tucker. And Munster Reds' heads are certainly down. Despairing dive from the man at long on. Couldn't prevent that. Tucker goes on to 24. Dockrell's on 47. I wonder will he just take the 1 and get Dockrell on strike to get his half century. Well, there's your answer. And ends the game. Lorcan Tucker. This is a quick word with George Dockrell to see if that is match over.
I think there's still just the 1 to win.
The 148?
Yeah, I think it's 149 to win.
Yeah, 149 to win. They just had a little question mark themselves out in the middle there, say, was that the winning run? They're getting there very, very quickly, aren't they? Well, just 15 overs. Well, nearly 15 overs. In fact, that is the end of the 15th over, so we'll give Dockrell a chance to get his half century. There's the worm run rate. You can see Leinster never really in any real trouble here. Moving on nicely to an opening day win in this festival of IP20 cricket. So it's Tyrone Kane, captain to captain. George comes down the track looking for the half century. He's now going to run all the way to the boundary. It has to get him to 50. And well done, George Dockrell. That's a nice way to finish the game. George Dockrell and Lorcan Tucker shake hands in the middle, squirted away to the offside, gave himself enough room to open up things, and what a finish to the game for George Dockrell. A well-deserved half century there. Big blitz earlier on from Simi Singh, 44 for him. And that is victory. Just the loss of 3 wickets in the 16th over. And with too many dot balls, as you mentioned earlier on, and a relatively low total of 148 from the Munster Reds having been put into bat, it was Leinster Lightning who rack up the first win of this, the IP20 series here in Pembroke.
Yeah, very destructive win from the Leinster Lightning. They'll be really happy with that. George Dockrell and Lorcan Tucker taking them over the line. It looked when they were 3 down, when Michael Frost had gotten rid of Andy Balbirnie, we might have had a game on. But Dockrell and Tucker have done superbly there, and a very destructive win and a very good start to the weekend for the home side, the Leinster Lightning.
Yeah, congratulations to them. Munster and now move on. They got games against the Warriors and the Knights to come. Chance to rebuild and get some points on the board. But that was a comprehensive victory by Leinster Lightning, who, remember, won the toss, decided to back themselves this morning by putting the Munster Reds into bat. And we'll just pass this piece of paper over to Andrew Leonard to give his decision on the man of the match, or player of the match. I think we're all in agreement here, really. Yep, we are. So we will be doing the man of the match very shortly as the players depart the scene, as we will move on to the Northern Knights and the Warriors coming up very shortly. So let's have a look at the scoreboards then. Munster Reds, having lost the toss this morning, put into bat. Good performance there from Murray Commons, making 51 from 34, but you always get the feeling that they were getting bogged down. Lost wickets at 38, 72, 140, 120, 129, 134, 141. So between the loss of the third wicket to the seventh wicket, I really didn't get things going at all. McCarthy chipping in there with a few. There was the partnerships. Moore and Carthy started a decent platform. Murray Commons and Tyrone Kane with 42 between them, and after that Commons started to run out of partnerships. Eventually got to his 50. This was the Leinster Lightning bowling cards. Josh Little, 4 overs, 2 for 21. Good performance from him. And David O'Halloran, 2 for 20 as well on debut. Simi Singh, 1 for 26 from his 4 overs. Very profligate indeed. George Dockrell got a bit of thumping out there. No wickets for 32. And Leinster Lightning in reply, easing over the line. I'm saying 149 there. I actually think that Dockrell actually got to his 50 because the ball did actually go over the ropes. Anyway, Lorcan Tucker not out on 28, but 44 from 23 from Simi Singh, and 1 over from Fionn Hand was spectacular. 4 fours, a 6, and then Hand caught and bowled him. One of the best catches you'll ever see on the field of cricket. Andy Balbirnie chipped in with a 20. There's your partnerships. Kevin O'Brien, who announced his retirement from international cricket today in the 50-over form of the game. He departed early for 2, but Simi Singh really flashing around the ground. There's 44. And there's the bowling figures as well. Frost on debut, 1 for 34. And Cawley bowled well for his 1 for 22. So as the preparation now gets ready after game 1 finishes between the Reds and the Lightning, we're going to move it on to the Knights and the Warriors. It's a 4 o'clock start here, Irish time. Let's hand it over now to Andrew Blair-White for the player of the game presentation.
Thank you, John, and welcome to the Player of the Game presentation. A triumphant win for the Leinster Lightning by 7 wickets, chasing down the Munster Reds 148 for 7. Some good performances all round. Murray Commons with 51 with the bat for the Munster Reds. George Dockrell with an unbeaten half century. But the player of the match is Simi Singh for his 1 for 26 from 4 overs, and most importantly his 44 from just 23 deliveries. And Simi, a great start to the weekend for the Leinster Lightning.
Yeah, I think it's great to start with a win, Andrew, and especially at the start, hitting those areas with the ball and then fielding well. The outfield was tough to field in, and T20 cricket could be like a circus sometimes if you're not on it. So, you know, I think we did that well, and then obviously with the bat, nice to see George and Larkin finish it off.
And were you happy at half time with what you'd restricted them to?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, we were at the start after couple of overs we were looking at, probably we were thinking 160 could be chaseable here, about par. So yeah, I was quite happy with that, especially the way we finished at the death there.
And you scored 44 from 23 balls, up the order for the Lightning. We've seen it, you do it for YMCA over a number of years. You must be happy to get that opportunity and then obviously produce.
Yeah, look, we just had a chat obviously before the games and stuff with Jonesy and Dockrell, so just felt that I've done the role before, batting at 3 for Lightning, so this might be a good opportunity for me and the team for me to go up and just express myself. So luckily it came off today.
And your hopes for the remaining 2 games of the weekend?
Yeah, look, I think it'll be difficult games, especially on the same wicket and stuff. So we just got to be on it all the time, and then all the teams now are very strong. So we just got to play well every game, take it as it comes.
Thank you very much to Simi, and thank you very much for joining us here at Pembroke for the first game of 2 today of the IP20 Festival. You'll be on later on today at 4 p.m. for the Northern Knights versus the Northwest Warriors in Game 2 of the Friday action. And of course we're on tomorrow and also on Sunday as well. So make sure to be involved for that, and we'll see you later on today.